So there I was, folks. I had just finished the last stream. You all know it. You love it. You remember it. The last stream, I know it was great. Everyone had a good time. But I had such a neck ache and such a headache. I mean, they're kind of the same. With tension headaches, like back of the neck, head, they're kind of the same thing. Anyway, I laid down for a bit, and then a fit of creative inspiration struck me. It struck me, folks, like a lightning bolt. I got up with my headache. And now listen, okay? This is going to make me seem a little bit unrelatable to you Zoomers. I swear I'm not flexing on you, but it's true. With no music or podcast in the background for 2.5 hours, I disassembled and rearranged my desk. That's right, I raw dogged it. No external stimuli. It was just me and the cables and the fixtures of the desk. It's a rarity, even for me. So it was tough, but I did it. And I rearranged it, and frankly, I think ergonomically it's a lot better. Now, right now, I do think the camera angle is a little bit scuffed. It feels a bit off. I kind of need to field test it a little bit. But it's not terrible, and ergonomically, this is way better. Does everyone remember how before, how difficult it was for me to look over at chat relative to like looking before, like how much I had to swivel my head? Okay. That was the change. That was me looking at the center of my one monitor to chat on the other monitor. Way better. Way better. I do need a little more headroom in the shot. I agree. And I'll fiddle with the camera. Left side of the screen is weirdly spacious. So we can do just a little bit of fiddling. There you see my many sugar-free Gatorades. Did you accomplish this with or without Adderall? That's the crazy thing. I forgot to take Adderall yesterday and the day before. So it was Adderall free too. We like true raw dogging. I mean, I had nothing in me, but Trader Joe's salted peanut protein bars and a very large amount of caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee. Is Adderall the problem? I don't know, RFK Jr. You tell me. Where's the haircut? Don't talk to me. You can sort of that's not bad. That's not bad. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. This angle makes you look skinnier? Why might that be? I have no idea. You're sitting higher is all? Yeah, probably. Can you talk about Hassan for 20 minutes again? The tweet that I put out the other day, the one where I just said, man, that video looks really bad, I muted it almost immediately after putting it out because I'm not stupid. And I checked it again. It's got like fucking 100 comments, a bunch of quote tweets. Oh, no. It's pretty funny. Did you talk about the Nobel Peace Prize winner? She's a bitch. Didn't she like... I mean, there are a number of Nobel Peace Prize winners. There's not just one, right? The Venezuelan opposition leader. And then she, like, dedicated it. Oh, right. There's multiple Nobel Prizes. There's only one Nobel Peace Prize. That's right. Maria Corina Machado wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, hold on. I have to adjust my picture-in-picture here. That's pretty good. Venezuelan opposition leader dedicates Nobel Prize to Trump for decisive support. That is so fucking funny. Hold on 1 second. That is so funny. Decisive support? Okay. Man, she really wants Trump to invade. Venezuela's Maduro says U.S. embassy false flag bombing foiled in Caracas. Dude, what's going on? Are we like actually invading? What the hell? We are on the threshold of victory, and today, more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the United States, the peoples of Latin America, and the democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy, she wrote on Twitter. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. Holy shit. Well, that's cool. Is the Nobel Peace Prize winner a CIA asset? Lol. Always has been, buddy. Always has been. Hold on. Okay, that looks better. Damn, I can't believe we support Maduro now. I can't believe I'm now anti-Mamdani for saying that Nicolas Maduro is a dictator. She also called for Israel to liberate Gaza. Yeah, of course. Listen, okay, this is the one slice of sympathy that I am willing to offer the insane, like, campus third worldist tankies online who will unironically defend Russia or Maduro or whoever else, right? And it's that, unfortunately, in like the practical sense, it is like you're with us or you're against us kind of deal, you know? In the real world, you don't get to pick between Nicolas Maduro, a CIA USA backed puppet, or like the thing you want, the third democratic option. In reality, there are two options. I mean, unless a third one presents itself, but I think the fact that the opposition leader in Venezuela is dedicating her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump makes it pretty clear where she stands on the, you know. Bets for Maria Corina Machado spiked on Polymarket gambling site hours before she was awarded the prize. Oh my God. Everything's a grift now. This is the only way to make money in the modern economy, okay? If you weren't there at the ground floor of the Maria Corina Machado Nobel Peace Prize betting pool, you're not going to make it. You're gonna die working at a Walmart at 83, buddy. You're gonna be enlisted at 72 to be one of the border guards to shoot Mexicans as they try to clamber over the border to escape the famine. It's over for you. You might as well give up. Your life is over already if you didn't get in on this one. I made a sweet 600 grand off of my Maria Corina Machado Nobel Peace Prize ground floor bet. Thank you. I went all in on Machado this morning. Now I'm filling out retirement forms. Let's go. Wait, hold on. You're telling me you're going paper hands? You're not hodling? You're not hodling double or nothing for the Maria Corina Machado twice over double Nobel Peace Prize winner? You're not gambling at all again? You're pulling out just because you got a little buddy, that's chump change. That's not moon change. Come on. Diamond hands. I think she's gonna win the next 7 Nobel Peace Prizes. Gonna win a gorillion bucks. Listen, okay? If I lose, they send me to Valhalla. If I win, I get to buy the entire planet. Well, at least the winner of the prize wasn't like, I don't know, Kamala Harris or something. What do you want? Puppet dictator versus local dictators, one hell of a choice. Yeah, genuinely, I don't know who would be worse. Maduro or the opposition that's effectively like a US puppet leader? I have no idea. Because like in your head you have to think, okay, like what are we talking about here? Are we talking like Pinochet? You can get worse, right? I mean, you can, it's hard to say. Really depends on how bad the puppet leader is, I guess. Maduro is so bad. Yeah, he really is, which is, you know, which weighs in the favor of the opposition candidate, but President's been a vocal critic of Maduro's presidency, cut it to close to recently, called for the arrest of Maduro, often a $50 million reward leading to his arrest. Carrying out illegal strikes on Venezuelan boats in international waters, one of which was a Colombian boat, apparently. Dude, Politico is so cucked. A claim Maduro vehemently denies and attacks many former GOP officials fear could be illegal. Dude, it's not fear could be illegal. It is illegal. You're striking random civilian ships in international waters. It's objectively illegal. It's not a fear could be illegal. It is illegal. Trump reposted Machado's recognition of him to Truth Social, but didn't comment on her remarks. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung also took to X on Friday morning to slam the Nobel Committee for placing politics over peace in their selection. Really? The winner of the Nobel Peace Prize dedicates that prize to Trump, and that's still not enough for you. It needed to actually go to Trump. Okay. I guess he has stopped 8 wars now, so it not going to him is pretty crazy. Machado's location remains undisclosed for security reasons, though supporters say she remains in Venezuela despite arrest warrants and government accusations she has conspired to destabilize the country. No shot she's in Venezuela. Why would she take the risk? That's crazy. Yeah, she's in Long Beach, buddy. She also made a video praising Vox. She's a far-right free. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know shit about her. All I know about her is that she exists. I don't know anything about her. Like, what has she done? She did podcasts with Trump's son? Which one? Ah. Oh my god. Isn't she a huge Zionist? All, like, US puppet state leaders are, yeah. Like, has she done anything? Like, wouldn't it be a little bit more prudent to, what about like in fucking Malaysia? You know? There are other conflicts going on. What has happened here? She's a woman? Oh. Launched her candidacy in the 2012 presidential election. Conceded defeat before the results were announced, saying she will actively back Capriles. Okay. Capriles? No, that would be 2 L's. Candidacy for National Assembly of Venezuela. On the 1st of February 2019, she announced she would run for president if Juan Guaido were to call elections owing to the 2019 Venezuelan presidential crisis. God. Remember that shit? That was so funny. Following the results of the 2020 Nevada Democratic primary, Pete Buttigieg has been declared interim president of Venezuela. Let's fucking go! Yeah! The fucked up thing is that I genuinely do not understand, like, what we're doing in Venezuela in particular. Like, if we want a bulwark in the, like, if we want a foothold in Latin America that's not going to budge, why not just work on being longtime friends with Brazil? Like, Venezuela doesn't have that much influence over its neighbors because it's a poorly run shithole state. Like, why would I don't know. I feel like we could do more work in Colombia, Brazil, or even like Nicaragua. I don't understand what the obsession is with. Yeah, it seems like literally we just don't like dissent, you know? Like we hate the idea of there being like a red smudge on the map. Oil, but their oil sucks. Venezuelan oil sucks. It's fucking awful. And also, like, don't we benefit from a lot of their oil production anyway because we have the refineries that are necessary to work on oil of that low grade? Like, it takes a lot of money and a lot of technical expertise to have to build the refineries that can actually process that oil. Venezuela has a lot of gold as well. I don't think that's the reason why we're interested in Venezuela. In 2011, she campaigned as a promoter of popular capitalism. She supports the privatization of state-run entities in Venezuela, including the oil company. She has supported international sanctions during the Venezuelan crisis and has advocated for foreign intervention to remove Maduro on humanitarian grounds. I hope she's getting paid well by the CIA. So she's like the Shah's son. It's always the same fucking playbook with these people, man. Again, like, I'm not defending the crazy campus third worldist every enemy of the United States is a good person thing, but every enemy of the United States tends to be a bad person. Unfortunately. Oh my god. On several occasions, Machado has identified the United Kingdom's Margaret Thatcher as the politician she most admires. Insane. Insane. Expressed her solidarity with Israel following the attacks on October 7th, thanked Israel for its support of Gonzalez as president-elect and previously of Guaido as acting president. She planned to reestablish diplomatic relations with Israel. Machado is a strong supporter of Donald Trump, who she described in 2025 as a visionary in relation to his opposition to the Maduro regime in Venezuela. Everyone dislikes the Maduro regime. Everyone in the world doesn't like the Maduro regime, except for like Russia and Cuba or whatever. Everyone dislikes them. After he deployed the Navy to the Caribbean in 2025, Machado praised the Trump administration. How obvious is it that this bitch does not care about winning a democratic election in her country? Are you fucking kidding me? You seriously think the Venezuelan people are going to vote for a person who's going, yeah, yeah, when the United States deploys a carrier group to the Caribbean? It's so obvious she doesn't want to be an elected leader. She wants to be like the puppet that gets installed by the American intervention. It's fucking I hate these people. I really do. She has expressed support for the use of force to depose the Maduro regime. One of her advisors told the New York Times that she has coordinated with the Trump administration. Oh my God. and she has a plan for the first 100 hours after his deposition? After the deposition of Maduro. Okay. So she's a collaborator? So, like, she's literally a traitor. Like, she's actively abetting and collaborating with a enemy nation to assist in the invasion of Venezuela so that she can benefit. Like, she's definitionally a traitor. She better hope Maduro's regime doesn't find her. So, yeah, so Maduro's correct. Every time Maduro said, like, this woman is not, like, a real democratic actor, she's an agent of the enemy, he was correct. He was completely correct. She shouldn't be allowed to run for office in Venezuela for the same reason Trump shouldn't have after 2020. Or 2021, sorry. It's crazy. Jesus, that sucks. Yeah, well, you know. The enemy of my enemy is also, it seems, my enemy. Well, were her and Trump the only nominees for the Peace Prize? Yes, they flipped a coin. Vosh, there are good people in the Venezuelan opposition who are not these ghouls. Yeah, of course there are. Absolutely. There are plenty of people in Venezuela who hate Maduro and who want better things for the country. But they're not getting the Nobel Peace Prize, are they? Only CIA puppets. There are good people everywhere. Even America. Thank you. Inspiring. Would this be in another Iranian Revolution style coup? No, that was the opposite. The Iranian Revolution was authentic and genuine, but the winning group within those that held the revolution ended up being the Islamists, which was, you know, bad. But they were like, it wasn't like a foreign, you know, well, there was foreign support, of course, it was the Cold War, but it was largely like an internal domestic affair. Whereas in this case, they're trying to like agitate from without. Makes me wonder, like, how much authentic support she has within Venezuela. I noticed that that wasn't mentioned anywhere in this article, you know? You'd think you'd see that somewhere. The only people praising her, it seems, are Westerners. Like, you see recognition from the LA Times, New York Times, BBC, from Bush, from Obama, from Trump. It's always the West giving her credit. The moment she hears she won the Nobel Prize, oh my God.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
Muffling phone, microphone to mute the noise of Long Beach partygoers in the background. Let's talk quickly. I'm under great threat.
Hello?
Am I talking to Maria Corina Machado?
Yes, this is Maria Corina.
Yes, Maria Corina. My name is Christian Berghardt Bacon. I am
Bacon?
the secretary of the Norwegian Nobel Committee in Oslo. And I'm calling to inform you that in a few minutes...
Remember, apparently the bets surged for her before she was announced as the winner. So, again, this whole thing is a fucking joke. It's all just a game. None of this is real.
It shall be announced here at the Nobel Institute that you will be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025.
Oh my God.
Gay. Does anyone else think it's kind of lame that this announcement is being recorded, but it's being done with, like, an iPhone and iPods or whatever. I feel like, I don't know, it's the Nobel Peace Prize. Shouldn't they have like a rotary phone? You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. Everything is phones. Everything is computer now. Can't we, you know, like that?
So the warmest congratulations to you, Maria.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well.
Okay. Well, yeah, great.
Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has won the 2025 Nobel.
How the fuck is this video from 2 channels? What? I don't know how this shit works.
Peace Prize. The Nobel Committee recognized Machado's, quote, tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. She is now living in hiding after last year's election that the country's longtime president is accused of stealing. This is the moment she got the call.
I have no words. I'm honored, humble.
Republic. Lilia, CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano, who's joining me from the Dominican Republic. Lilia, you've spent time with Machado. You have gotten to know her. You've covered Venezuela. You know what it means to her and for the fact that she's hiding now because of the fear that she has. What does this mean to her and to the people that love and respect her?
I mean, what this means to the people of Venezuela is hard to put in words, Vlad. I insisted so much to go cover this election because I have been following the real demise of that country, of that democracy over the last decades. And
Bosh, the Green Party's about to overtake Labor. They're only 2 points behind. No way. The Green Party's at 5 points right now? That's crazy.
when we got to Venezuela, when we were on the ground, you could feel this energy. People came out in historic numbers, and by every measure of all of the international institutions, including the Carter Center, the United Nations, it was Edmundo González Urrutia who won that election. It wasn't Maria Corina Machado because the government, the regime of Nicolás Maduro banned her from running. We covered that as well.
Probably convenient for her that she was banned from running, so she couldn't, it couldn't be, made evident how unpopular she actually is.
She was banned. She could not run. The courts had decided that.
But also, again, like, I agree with that ruling now. I have to, because it's what she's literally like an asset. She has said openly that she is coordinating with the U.S. president, who is conducting illegal strikes on civilian vessels in international waters outside of Venezuela to invade so that she can assume power after. Well, it's treasonous. What do you? Yeah, people like that shouldn't be able to run in democratic elections for the same reason that openly pro-Russian parties shouldn't get to run in Ukraine and openly insurrectionist parties shouldn't get to run in America.
She had won more than 90% of the intention of the vote the year before in a poll that was done by the opposition. And sure enough, on the night that after the election, the day after the election, after the votes were counted, and weeks later, the opposition presented all the evidence that it was Edmundo who won, the government of Nicolás Maduro declared victory. And to this day, we're waiting for that evidence. But I want to show a bit of a clip of what Maria Corina Machado told us that night after Maduro claimed victory without showing evidence once again.
It's a grotesque violation of the popular will, and everybody knows it. The regime knows it, the international community knows it, and the people of Venezuela knows it. And we will defend the truth.
I asked her team today, of course, I'm hoping that we talk to her, but I asked, what's going to happen? Is she going to be able to come and get the prize? We know she remains in hiding. This government has continued to persecute her and all of her supporters. They told me no prize is going to make her leave Venezuela. The equivalent for all of the previous opposition leaders who have left is, to kind of leave their people behind. And what she's saying today in the message to accept this prize is we are at the threshold. And she mentions President Trump twice.
Vosh, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Were Germans that helped the Allies in any capacity traitors and therefore discredited? I think that you could argue that within if Nazi Germany was a democracy, they could fairly argue that, right? I mean, what you're arguing here, like, I guess essentially is it good when it's moral? Like, is it a good thing when it's moral? And I guess my answer to that is that this woman can't be motivated by moral I guess moral motivation, because she wouldn't be pro-Israel if she was. Like, it would be one thing if she believed earnestly and authentically that the situation in Venezuela was so bad that foreign intervention, even US intervention, would be preferable to what's happening right now. And that isn't necessarily an illegitimate position that you could have, but the fact that she's so obviously a foreign state actor is kind of what does it in. Does that make any sense? Like, if a random civilian held the position, oh my God, Maduro is so bad, US take us out, Trump fire the missile or whatever, I don't think that would be, I mean, it would be kind of funny. I don't know if I'd be that upset about it. It's more like, you know, I dedicate this Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. I support Israel. After October 7th, they have a right to do whatever they want. Stuff like that really, you know, I think you can make the argument for them being a foreign agent, like, a lot more aggressively. But I agree with your point, like, fundamentally. I don't necessarily think that it's always morally wrong to act against the country that you're in, even if it means abetting a foreign invasion. But that has to be worked out in the details, I think. And I don't know. Maybe if there's like a speech from her where she gives a really, really, really compelling case that seems authentic, like, let me think about it. If there was like an interview with her that was like an hour long and she was like, listen, I've agreed to a lot of things that I think are unsavory because the situation in Venezuela is that bad, you know? I don't think that a US invasion of Venezuela to depose Maduro would be good. I just think it would be better than what we're dealing with right now. And she like listed out, and it felt like earnest and authentic. I guess in that case, morally at least, that would be like, I don't know. That would go a long way with me. But I would be very, very surprised if you could find that, because I think having that position is basically incompatible with the position that she has on Gaza. Does that make sense?
She thanks President Trump, I guess implicitly, for the pressure campaign. Under the banner of a counter-narcotics operation, we have seen strikes against multiple vessels.
Oh yeah, not to mention her saying she admires Margaret Thatcher, wants to privatize the nation's oil company, and is in favor of popular capitalism. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, it's right out of the Cold War.
Coming out of Venezuela, and it's not anti-narcotics because, and this is the reason why the government of Nicolás Maduro is considered a narco state. The United States is saying and has evidence to prove that they function essentially as a cartel and have been persecuting Maduro for many years. There's millions of dollars of bounty on his or information leading to his capture. But what is important here is what's underlying, which is a pressure campaign towards democracy. And that's why she is dedicating the prize to.
Yeah, nothing makes the Venezuelan people more interested in democracy than saying, hey, listen, it's between Maduro or Trump invading you. Hey, here's democracy, folks. Look at me. I dedicate this Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, please invade us. Trump, won't you please shoot more civilian fishing vessels in international waters right off the coast of our nation? Yeah, nothing makes democracy look good quite like that, huh?
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado.
The thing is, these puppets have really nothing to lose. If they fail as puppets, they just go to a US university or think tank preaching about the evils of socialism, like with Guaido, who now lectures in Florida. Does he really? Is that where he ended up? Florida every time, oh my God. Yeah, well, it makes sense in this context specifically. Hold on, I'm looking. Domestic affairs, humanitarian aid, media. Hold on, I'm trying to see. Is he really teaching in Florida? Yep, he has since lived in Miami, Florida, having joined the Florida International University as a visiting professor for 2023. As a senior leadership fellow at the university's Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, Guaido was paid $40,000 for one semester as a visiting professor. at the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom. Every fucking time. Dude, the Cold War never ended with Venezuela. We're still doing all this shit.
Machado. She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela.
The Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado from Venezuela, Latin America. We do want to go now live to our Selma Abdelaziz, who is in London, here to give us a little bit more context of maybe why this is the recipient this year and what the background is here.
It is very easy to see, Brian, why she was chosen by the Nobel Committee. This is a woman who has dedicated her life to her country, Venezuela, which is, of course, now suffered under an economic crisis, under what is widely seen as a dictatorship, under increasing repression. And she has faced off with those authorities both boldly, bravely, and unbowingly. Just to go over a little bit of who she is, she was elected.
Okay, sorry. The reason I said $40,000 in that tone of voice is because I know what visiting professor working with the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom reads. I found a Miami Herald article. Let me read a paragraph. Guaido, 40, will be a senior leadership fellow at the Adam Smith Center for Economic Freedom, which FIU describes as a, quote, world-class, independent, nonpartisan think tank with a mission to, quote, advance economic and individual freedom and human prosperity. He will be at FIU for the fall semester and will conduct 8 study group sessions, in addition to mentoring students, conducting research, and being part of public conferences and seminars. So, not actually doing work then. He will be paid $40,000 for this. Study group sessions, yeah. So in other words, he's being paid to give speeches.
A member of the National Assembly in 2011. She held that seat for nearly 3 years and was eventually stripped of that seat. She tried to run for presidential elections and was also removed from the ballot, and that's not due to her popularity. Brian, there is an understanding that she has deep popularity on the ground and a huge movement behind her. About a year ago, she went into hiding, fearing for her life. We understand she remains in hiding. She recently did an interview with Elle magazine, speaking of that experience, saying that she's barely seen the sun in months, but that she continues to fight for what she believes in. And that is fundamentally, at its core, a peaceful transition to democracy for a country, again, that has suffered deeply under dictatorship. So, again, she is someone who very much embodies that sense of spirit of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, which is one that is unbending, unbowing to greater powers. Again,
Yeah, I except for the United States, of course. I literally cannot find any polling data on our popularity in Venezuela.
The power and brute of the state force of Nicolas Maduro, someone who has not given up time and time again, despite facing accusations of treason, despite being physically harassed and assaulted, despite the power of Venezuela's government coming down on her. She has continued, again, her fight for democracy in her country. She is also a mother, an engineer by training, someone who has really been able to build roots and build a community and dig deep into Venezuela. So by awarding this prize, it's not only recognizing her work, Brian, it's a recognition of everything that's happening on the ground in Venezuela, but also of the larger context.
Like, I can't find anything. I just looked up her popularity in Venezuela. I scrolled through an entire page of Google results. I found something that looked promising. It's from the fucking Cato Institute. What the fuck? Oh my god. You can find, like, reliable data on the unpopularity of dictators and the popularity of their opposition in other countries, you know? It's not like we don't have any information on the popularity of, say, Xi Jinping or whatever. Like, maybe for hermit states like North Korea, it's pretty tough to get real information, but Venezuela isn't that, you know?
Here. Dictatorships are on the rise. Autocracies are on the rise. That is the trend globally. So it is a recognition, again, of all of those who are fighting against repression, fighting against autocracy. So this will be a major win. And I know our news desk right now is working to find out reaction on the ground and to find out specifically her reaction as she remains in hiding from a government, as far as we know, while she continues that battle face to face.
All right, Selma.
Remember that Christofascist that the Trump administration propped up in Bolivia? Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember. That demonic Yacubian experiment who like gave a talk over the Bible about how, what was it, like the traditions of the indigenous people of Bolivia, which make up 2/3 of the country, were demonic or something like that? I remember. Who was hiding in a box? Yes, and she was hiding in a box when the coup fell apart. All right, let's wrap this up.
Abdelaziz for us live in London. Selma, thank you. Let's go now to get more information on this from defense analyst Alex Alvarez-Shears. He joins me from London. And Alex, if you can, walk us through why it's Maria Corina Machado receiving this award this year out of the 300+ nominees.
I think one of the main reasons why it's been Machado is because she has demonstrated what it takes to actually try and push the dial for peace, to represent the very best angels in our nature. Whilst we've been overshadowed, this particular cycle has been overshadowed.
What are you talking
by
about?
all sorts of controversies. She has shown that if you want to push for peace, you have to make sacrifices, you have to be selfless yourself, and you have to focus on altruism in the face of all the adversity that comes with that. What's happened in Venezuela over the years is no secret. We all know about the tyranny that the Venezuelan people have been under, but she is a beacon of light.
This guy's like 25. What are we
increasingly beset by authoritarian trends and authoritarian streak? And I think this particular recipient, this particular award is one for unity,
get your name out there,
one for collective action, and one for global democracy.
Alex, I think we should note that the winner this year was not U.S. President Donald Trump, despite the campaign to become the recipient. And the Norwegian Committee Council leader, you really used democracy as a point to be made over and over again in his speech giving the award, saying at a time when democracy is under threat, it is more important than ever to defend this common ground. Can you just contextualize for us his speech, what this means for...
This guy's like a 30-year-old defense analyst. I have no idea why he's here getting pitched these questions, genuinely. I just looked up his name and his background. He's like fresh out of school, man. I genuinely have no idea like whose son this guy is.
To highlight, to emphasize the point that ultimately, if you want peace, you have to have the right intentions, and you have to embody the spirit and the ethos of peace.
Okay.
She, my colleague here, actually interviewed Maria Machado, and Isa kind of...
She's taken on this charge, of course, of fighting for freedom. And she's shown throughout just resilience, Brian, just tenacity throughout. And she's faced huge challenges, and I think it's worth bearing in mind for people who do not know. She's still in hiding, right? She's still in hiding. We assume in Venezuela, and of course, stand up to Nicolás Maduro, who lost the election of July 28 by...
Can we get an actual Venezuelan, please? Trust me, you do not want an American Venezuelan weighing in on this. Have you heard what American Cubans have to say about Cuba? No, thank you. Got a selection bias there, you know? All right, that's enough of this shit. I dedicate this segment to Donald Trump or whatever type shit or something. Okay. Close all these fuck-ass tabs. What are we talking about? LA wildfire. So the Palisades fire was apparently started by an arsonist? They bagged somebody? Genuine question, like what evidence trail are they working with that they were able to grab somebody this late after the arson? That's a crazy... Naturally, a bunch of conservatives are already using this as an excuse to argue that the fact that all of Los Angeles is a tinderbox has nothing to do with climate change. You know, it was just an arsonist. 29-year-old man, Uber driver. Oh. Initial blaze was set near a popular hiking trail in the Pacific Palisades, destroying 6,000 homes, killing 12 people. I remember this. Yes, yes. So, why? He had previously lived in the area and was reportedly obsessed with dystopian imagery, including AI-generated images on ChatGPT depicting burning cities. Okay. In one prompt, Mr. Rinderknecht allegedly requested, quote, a dystopian painting divided into distinct parts that blend together seamlessly. On the far left, there is a burning forest. Next to it, a crowd of people is running away from the fire, leading to the middle. Okay? So just a psychopathic arsonist? Guys, I don't think this is AI psychosis. AI psychosis is when a person is more or less stable and then engaging with AI makes them crazy. This guy's just an arsonist who was using AI. Authorities claim digital evidence links Mr. Rinderknecht to the fire, including a photo of a barbecue-style lighter found in his glove box that matched an image from his phone taken the day before the blaze. Okay. Arrested in Florida following a months-long investigation. They're going to sue him for $228 billion to cover the cost of the damage. So I guess we're just to take it then that, like, we're not going to learn any lessons about the climate from this. It's just totally normal that a guy with a barbecue lighter can light the entire Palisades on fire, you know? Like, that's just a stable society to live in. One in which one person with a barbecue lighter can devastate an enormous... Like, it's like a structural... It would have been like after the London fire... What was it? What caused the London fire again? It was like some dipshit medieval artisan knocked over a lamp or whatever. I don't remember. Whatever caused that. It was a bakery. A bakery was left a-cooking. Okay, gotcha. It'd be like if somebody was like, okay, well, next time we build London, maybe just don't have any dipshit bakers. Like, no, you rebuild it out of stone, you fucking idiot. We did the same thing in Chicago. We did the same thing in Seattle. In Seattle, it was some wick lantern. I don't fucking know. But we did the same thing. At first, everything was built in wood because you can do it, you know, cheap. And then afterwards, after it all burnt down, we were like, okay, maybe a world in which an entire city goes up because of one guy's mistake is a bad world. Maybe we should make that not the world, and instead make it out of stone. Oh boy. Need to boost Forest Service and do prescribed burns? True, but that's more of a, like, wilderness thing. This was the Palisades. I mean, fundamentally, the issue here is just that it's too fucking dry, man. It was already a desert, and now it's worse. Like, we've made it worse. Also, palm trees are really bad for fires because they're 1,000,000 feet tall, and the cinders that blow in, like, the firestorm, you know, go a really long distance. It's just, we don't build sensibly. We don't build in a way that accommodates the environment. Why the fuck do we have grass lawns in Los Angeles? I lived in LA for 22 years, okay? Do you know how few people there have stone and succulent lawns? Even though stones and succulents are native to the environment, look great, you know, they're cool, nobody fucking uses them. Everyone just has grass lawns that they water. It's insane. What about what about Adobe style housing? Why the fuck are people building out of wood in LA? Look, everyone Go to LA. Next time you're in LA, okay? I want you to get up on the roof of a building and look around, all right? And I want you to find wood that can be used for building a house. Where? Where's the wood? I live in Seattle right now. I can go out out onto the street right now in front of my house and look around and see bountiful forests in every fucking direction, okay? You go to LA, where's the wood, buddy? There's a reason the people who lived here built out of stucco and goat shit or whatever the fuck. No. Let's just continue to build the American Southwest such that one arsonist is capable of causing $250 billion in damage. Jesus. Meanwhile, scientists are saying we have only 3 years left to limit warming to 1.5°C. Dog, that shit ain't happening. Soldier found in forest, etc., etc. That shit is not happening, okay? I want to see a news report on this.
Well, in the last hour, authorities in Los Angeles announced an arrest in connection to those deadly Palisade fires earlier this year. Destroyed so much property, caused hell for people down in LA.
I like this jacket.
That fire was part of a series of fires that sparked in January, and it's considered one of the largest fires in LA history. 12 people died, so many homes wiped out. So let's talk about the latest developments. CBS News correspondent Chanel Call. Okay, Chanel, what are you learning about what happened there and who they're fingering for this?
Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of new information released to us today, Reed. I mean, this was one of the most catastrophic fires in American history. And today, authorities are now saying, Reed, that they've arrested the person they believe is responsible. That person now identified as 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht. Listen to how officials believe that fire started.
After working the evening shift as an Uber driver, 2 of his passengers told law enforcement that he appeared...
How much of that $228 billion is jacked up housing prices? Oh, to be sure, yeah, the inflated value of California real estate is contributing to that number, but it is a shockingly expensive fire. It goes well beyond fire. People underestimate how damaging fires are because you think like, okay, well, it's just going to burn the wood. Everything is useless afterwards. The asphalt, the concrete, in a lot of cases, everything is useless. You basically have to rip the entire city up and start again. Wherever a fire's raged through. Those high temperatures, they structurally damage everything. Bridges, for example, you subject a bridge to high enough heat, you're like, oh, it's concrete. Concrete can be lit on fire. It doesn't do anything when I light, tinder on fire on concrete in my backyard. Sure. But structurally, that shit can't hold cars no more. It's only a matter of time,
agitated and angry that night. After dropping off a passenger in Pacific Palisades, Rinderknecht parked his car and tried and failed to contact a former friend. He exited the car, walked up a nearby trail, took iPhone videos at a nearby hilltop, and listened to a rap song whose music video including objects being lit on fire.
Okay.
The defendant had
a little bit on the nose. Jesus Christ. Fucking Mamimi ass one-note character. All right. Burnt the high school down.
Listened to this song and watched its music video repeatedly in the days leading up to the Lockman fire. 12 minutes into the new year, environmental sensing platforms indicated that a fire had started. It took the defendant several tries to contact 911 to report the fire. He fled the scene in his car, but turned around after passing fire engines driving in the opposite direction to fight the fire. While the Lockman fire burned, the defendant walked up the same trail from earlier that night to watch the fire and firefighters, using his iPhone to take short videos of the scene.
And Reed, investigators also believe that initial fire.
So did they just spy into Spotify, or did he admit to this? My guess is that they took like a profile of geotag data on information sent to and from the internet from phones that were in the adjacent to where the fire started. And once they had a number of people who could be potentially the culprit, the arsonist, they either arrested them and did additional inquiries, or they got a warrant to look into like their Spotify playlist history or whatever else. That doesn't sound like a real thing. Buddy, why do you think they say don't bring your phone to protests? Yeah, it's a real thing. Your phone's always communicating with local satellites and well, not local satellites, but you know what I mean. Satellites and cell towers. If the law enforcement wants to, they can get like a grid of, like phone IDs that are connected to given areas and use that to, I don't know how the particulars work. I'm not like I'm not super educated on the process, but it's definitely tech that exists. And then after they had like a connection between him and the location and the phone ID, they were probably like, okay, let's take a look at this guy's. Oh, it turns out his video watch history was just a fucking arson themed rap song on repeat, and his Spotify playlist was all fire related. Okay, maybe we'll take a look at this guy. We'll take a look at, John Forest Fire over here.
They were just talking about there was mostly suppressed by firefighters, but then embers continued to smolder and burn underground. Then when we saw high winds kick up, it then spread the fire, causing what we now know to be the Pacific Palisades fire. Officials also saying today, Reed, that these allegations that they're talking about, they say they're supported by digital evidence. In fact, some of that evidence also includes Rinderknecht's ChatGPT history. They say that he prompted ChatGPT to give him a, quote, dystopian painting showing in part a burning forest.
But don't they still need concrete evidence, like the stuff he used to start the fires? I mean, it seems like at this point they have what they need, but like you don't need concrete evidence. That's what the trial is for, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. They just need enough to charge you, and they seem to have quite a bit here. I mean, it seems like they have the tool that he used to do it, a bunch of corroborating evidence to suggest he's the kind of person to have done it. I mean, it'll all come out in the trial.
Crowd fleeing from it. I believe
Ew.
we have that ChatGPT photo to show you. This is it.
That looks like shit.
And this was prompted by Rinderknecht, officials say, just months before the Pacific Palisades fire had started. This was and still is a pretty massive investigation, Reed, and it involves so many different agencies. We're talking about ATF, the LA County Fire Department, the LA Police Department, Orange County Fire Authority, and the U.S. Forest Service. They're all part of this. Together, they say they have analyzed 1.5 million phone records. They've processed 100 acres of damaged terrain. They've conducted, Reed, over 100 interviews and collected, get this, 13,000 pieces of evidence. So quite a substantial investigation already underway. Now, moving forward, here's what's going to happen.
Again, it's an extremely high-profile fire. Of course, they're going to throw, like, everything they can at the investigation, which, in this case, I'm glad they did, because, like, if you started the Palisades fire, buddy, your ass got to burn, too. I'm sorry. We're tying you to a post. I'm sorry, buddy. I spent too much time in my early life driving around that area. Okay, you've got to pay.
Rinderknecht, we know, has now been charged with felony destruction of a property by means of fire. And so if convicted, Reed, that carries a mandatory minimum of 5 years in federal prison.
He's not good. 5 years. He's lucky the trial's being conducted in California where the death penalty is illegal, because otherwise they would find a way. His ass is, they're sending him into the pit. There's no way.
To 20 years possible.
Well, from a fire...
It's not going to be 20 years possible. They're going to get him on, somehow they're going to get him on murder one for every person who died.
Trail to a digital trail. Those images you just showed are so chilling. For our viewers at home, if you want to get a closer up look at some of those images, you can go to the Instagram platform of CBS News' Jonathan Vigliotti. I don't know if you've seen them yet.
I'm not pro death penalty, but yeah, I like to kill people. Dude, it's arson. Arson is like the worst fucking crime. It's crazy. It's murderous, but totally indiscriminate. There's no potential for there to be any legitimizing circumstances to it. It's just totally, and all the destruction and the economy. I mean, arson is unforgivable. It's just like a universally wretched, you know, and it's been the enemy of mankind basically since day one, you know, since Prometheus yoinked that shit. It's been, you can't, there's no like conditional, oh well, in this case it wasn't that bad or whatever. It's just arson. It's really bad.
But he covered those fires extensively, and he has some of those AI images that will be now used as evidence. Chanel Call, thank you so much.
Yeah, there's no oopsie defense. Here, wrap it up with Fox 11.
Local and state lawmakers are reacting to this arrest. Fox 11's Nick Garcia has that part of the story.
What is this? What is this outfit? It's a white shirt, but it has like a leather corset built in. Fake leather. That's not real leather. I have no idea.
He joins us now live from East LA. Nick?
Right, Susan. Governor Newsom was here at this middle school in East LA to sign a different piece of legislation related to school meals, but he did also speak with us about that arson arrest made. Take a look.
They found the arsonist, and
we're going to get him. We're going to put him in the.
What backed
we're going to.
And then we'll look at the facts and judge on the basis of those facts.
Governor Gavin Newsom in L.A. the same day the arrest of Jonathan Rinderknecht was announced, the man accused of starting the flames that grew into the Palisades fire.
To have a little bit of closure. That said, it's cold comfort for those who lost their homes and are coming through the recovery.
L.A. City Councilwoman Tracy Park in the Palisades Wednesday.
What if they lit him on fire? They should, for restitution, they should imprison him and not let him go until he starts a $265 billion water. Undo all the damage he done.
Charges against the perpetrator demonstrate that it was a calculated, malicious act that unleashed death and destruction on innocent people. And while an arrest has finally been made, there is no justice equal to the pain that this community has endured.
While the arrest is long-awaited news, questions remain about the fire response.
I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied. I mean, we want to make sure that we are able to prevent anything like this from happening again, and we always have to look at ourselves and examine what we could have done better.
And this afternoon, just a little while ago,
LA is super, super fucked. Not only because of like the fact that it's super dry or whatever, the fact that it's so spread out makes it so difficult to deal with. Like if a fire starts in a densely packed urban area, you can just flood the area. You have all the water connections, all the water line, the fire hydrants, you've got the trucks everywhere there. But if the fire is spreading across like the hillside adjacent to like a bunch of like loosely, you know, rural kind of like, you know, big backyards, sort of wealthy houses at the edge of the hill, and like there's so much that can go wrong there. The reforms that would need to be made to the LA Fire Department to make it capable of dealing with the threat of future arson or just incidental forest fire would be like incredibly costly and very difficult to do. And it would take many, many, many years. Many years. Could LA build canals and fill them with what? Seawater? No.
Actually, the LA Fire Department released their after-action report related to the Palisades fire. The 70-page report highlights some of the challenges crews faced, including, I'm going to name some of them for you, crew fatigue, the lack of resources for the type of red flag weather the region was experiencing at that time, the delay in communicating evacuation orders, which then led to last-minute evacuations, which those routes clogged up traffic that blocked roads that crews were using to get to the fire. That was a big challenge. You may remember some of those images.
What about desalination, artificial rivers? What about like a unicorn that would wish away the fire? It's fucking desalination on the level that would be necessary to supplement LA's water use. I mean, that'd be great. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool. Good luck with the rising energy costs in California right now. Fitting that one in the bill, you know? It just doesn't rain there. There's just not enough water. There shouldn't be that many people in LA. There shouldn't be fucking 10 million people in the county, you know?
Again, this report breaks down hour by hour, in some cases minute by minute, the first 36 hours of the response to the Palisades fire. We're working through that, and we'll bring you more information later this evening. For now, live in East LA, though, I'm Nick Garcia, Fox 11.
Why can't you just use seawater? Because seawater is corrosive. Seawater will corrode the pipes that it's in, given enough time, which is not that much time at all. Like if you build the water mains to carry seawater, for one, you have to have a separate set of mains. It can't be carrying fresh water for any other reason. It can't be connected to any kind of freshwater source because it'll poison the fresh water that we use to drink. And also the salt will build up, and also it corrodes the metal. It just doesn't work, Oh yeah, it also kills the soil after. That's true. If you start dumping seawater all over fires, like nothing will grow again on the earth. You've saturated the soil with a bunch of salt. Didn't you say San Francisco should have like 500 million people or something? Yeah, because it fucking rains there, man. San Francisco is like 400 miles north or something. Yes, that area, the Pacific Northwest is like God's country. It's the fucking Garden of Eve. It's crazy. From like San Francisco all the way up to Seattle, you have a belt of like perfect weather. Eden, not Eve. A belt of perfect weather that you could fit 1 billion people on. It's crazy. No. And then there's San Diego. I feel isn't San Diego a little bit rainier than LA? Right? Because by being a little bit further south, it's not at that like belt of not the Mojave, but the desert that stretches west. Like it's far enough south, it's a little bit closer to being tropical. I think San Diego is a teensy bit more like you could have a civilization here, Death Valley? Yeah, I don't know. Hold on one second. America climate map. Yeah, it doesn't really show the fine details, which is kind of what I'm looking for here. God, look at all these differences. Okay. Yeah, here you've got San Diego. And then LA is right here. I'm stupid. Is LA is right here, right? Where my mouse is slowly circling. It's this curve, right? And the Palisades are right around here. Thereabouts? Am I off on that? Is it a different bend? I think that's the bend. You tell us you're from there? No? That's what I remember, but yeah, and the red is the death zone. You don't want that. Hot desert climate, yeah. Orange, hot semi-arid climate, but the yellow, hot summer Mediterranean climate, right? And you can see, I guess they're pretty similar. Look, I've been to LA, I've been to San Diego. I feel like San Diego is a little bit less blighted during the summer. But look, if you go further north than that, man, again, you should have 1 billion people in the Pacific Northwest. Look at this belt. This right here, this like kind of puke green. This right here is civilization. Okay? You could build a Roman Empire right here. Have you been to Seattle? No, never been. There are a lot of Nazis up there. Nope. The Nazis are over in this area. They're in the rural area over to the east, okay? But the San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Tacoma, whatever, this belt right here, that's civilization. What do we call that? What's puke green? Warm summer Mediterranean climate. Guys, it's literally the fucking Roman Empire. That's literally the shit they was building that shit on. Back in, I don't know, 200 BC, okay? The Roman legionnaires who executed Jesus Christ went back home to a warm summer Mediterranean climate. We was Romans. I was. Don't know about you. But it's all mountains there? Nope. Not here. Not in this belt. Right here. This whole area? Nope. Nope, nope, nope. This belt's fine. This area of Seattle right here is all mountains. And then, like, to right here. And then this purple streak right here. That's all mountains. But this area, again, it's God's land. Okay? Yeah, the purple is the Cascade Mountains, which are beautiful, by the way. I go up there pretty often. I feel like Death Valley needs a designation that is warmer than red. Actually, what's the TLDR on why LA even got so big in the first place then? I think there are a couple of reasons. For one, when it's not summer, the weather in LA is perfect basically 100% of the time. And two, I think it's that you have these like population centers on the East Coast, right? Like the East Coast is very populated, and then the South broadly is pretty well populated, right? A lot of people live in this part of the South, all the way up to, you know, here, Houston, Austin, right? The midpoint of Texas, because past that it starts to get a little bit less hospitable, you know? But if you're moving west of here, how do you do it? You've got all the goddamn mountains in the universe blocking your way. You kind of have like, you're narrowed into a couple of corridors, and you can stop in, you know, Wyoming or Denver if you want, but if you're making it through, you kind of have to find a population center, and there's a few points on the coast that you settle on, and for everyone coming in like down here in the lower third, you end up in LA, basically. That's like a simplification, but I think that's what initially drove the big hub to LA. There was a lot of money there. There was a lot of space there. They were expanding and building out very quickly. And also, back in the days when LA actually built new housing, it was very, very attractive, the idea of living in a space that was urban, but still had big, roomy, single-family houses to live in. Keep in mind that back in like 1930, if you were living anywhere on the East Coast and you wanted to live in the city, or like work in the city or do anything in the city, you either had to have a car, which was not super available or easy to access back then, or you had to live in the city, in which case you're living in like a tenement building or a tiny little townhome or an apartment, and it's all small and cramped. And then you can go over to LA and it's like, whoa, over in LA, you can be in the city and have like a big house, like a ranch style house, you know? So there's a lot of money, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of like accessibility there. It was like a big new thing. And then cars became more popular and cheaper, and all of a sudden in LA you can drive anywhere. LA was built for the roads, baby. Yeah, they had a tram network that they tore down, but the whole city opened up to you if you had vehicles, which, you know, what are you doing with a car if you live in New York? What are you doing with a car if you live in Boston, right? Like, you can do something with it, but in LA, buddy, you can drive around the mountain roads. You can go anywhere. So I think that for a time, LA was very attractive to people. Likewise, to a lesser extent, San Diego. And yes, there was an oil boom that ended up like filtering a lot of wealth back in the community. California did have a lot of oil. It still to an extent does. You know, you all get what I'm talking about, right? Not to mention all of the benefits you get from being like able to capitalize on America's basically only West Coast ports. I mean, you know, you build out here, the port of Long Beach is fucking massive, and then it's like, you know, you can trade with all of Asia, you know, way easier. So all of these Asian countries are opening up to trade. They're interested in trading with you. Now they can travel only a couple thousand miles rather than fucking infinity miles to go around the other side. You get me. So all of that, there was a point in time where LA was probably goated with the sauce. I think that if you were in LA during the 60s or 70s, it probably felt like you were in God's country. But unfortunately, the planet has gotten hotter, and a lot of the social and technological intersections that made LA really attractive now make it very unattractive. The freedom of cars turned into traffic everywhere all the time, and all the roads are too wide and nobody can walk anywhere. The temperature kicked up a little bit, and now the summers are getting longer and hotter, and there's no shade. You get me. Why there are no major cities on the Pacific Northwest coast. Okay, wait. To be clear, I'm not saying there should be cities on the coast.
Washington and Oregon.
Whoa. On the coast, because the coast of the Pacific Northwest is pretty inhospitable. What I'm talking about is like inland bit, you know? Like here, like San Francisco, here, the Bay Area, and then up, and then like this belt right here, where you could easily fit like 100 million people up there. The coast of Washington is all fog and like the coast of Washington and the coast of Northern Oregon feel like you are in a Lovecraft novel. Has anyone been there? You go up it's a Silent Hill Beach. You go up there and the fog rolls in and you can see 5 feet in front of you, and there's a foghorn in the distance, but you don't see anything and you don't know what's happening, and you turn around and the girl who got away in college is standing there, but then you rub your eyes to make sure it's real and she's not there anymore. You turn to see lights in the fog and you realize that it's your car, but you didn't leave the lights on. Like, that's the coast. Admittedly, having a city built there would be pretty cool. For like horror reasons. This is very specific. It's literally true. That's literally what it feels like. Spiritually, this slice of the coast, it feels like this portion of the East Coast right here. That chunk of Maine to what's this province in Canada called? I'm blanking. I normally know. It's got like 3 letters. It's Nova Scotia, the coolest sounding one. New Brunswick. People said 3 things. Okay, fine. New Brunswick, whatever it is. Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, whatever it is. I don't care. But this section right here, which is a deeply cursed part of the world, not neg, by the way. Parentheses pause question mark. Newfoundland is the island. Okay, then I'm talking about Nova Scotia because I'm talking about this portion right here. Well, anyway, you all get me. Hold on, I want to see a bit of this.
Are home to many large cities, from the large metro regions of Seattle and Portland to the smaller but still prominent cities of Spokane and Eugene. There's no shortage.
We don't talk about Spokane.
Of major cities in the Pacific Northwest, but all of these cities are located away from the Pacific coastline, leaving a large stretch without any major cities to call its own.
Why not? Because it's part of Idaho.
Why are there no major cities along Washington and Oregon's coastline? And at the heart of this, of course, is the region's unique physical geography. Its dramatic physical geography, a landscape quite unlike any other part of the United States, and one that's very different from the long sandy beaches that most associate with ocean states. At its northern end, the Olympic Peninsula is
here we go. See, this is what I'm talking about, okay? It's literally like a deep, cold, wet rainforest with permafog. And you know how San Francisco gets fog? The San Francisco fog is nothing compared to the fog that the coast of the Pacific Northwest gets. I lived in Humboldt for a while, and fog was like a daily thing there. Like full blanketed, like the whole city fog, basically, during the right seasons.
Untamed region. Here, the Olympic Mountains rise dramatically, their western slopes drenched by some of the highest annual rainfall in North America, feeding temperate rainforests that stretch nearly to the ocean's edge. In fact, some parts of the Olympic Peninsula, such as the Hoh Rainforest, get as much as 12 feet of rain every single year.
Yes, sir.
By comparison, just 75 miles east, the wet and rainy city of Seattle gets just 40 inches of rain per year. And the coastline itself is primarily rocky headlands, secluded coves, and long driftwood-strewn beaches, shaped by relentless ocean waves and the uplift of tectonic forces. Southward into Washington's Gray Harbor and Willapa Bay, the Washington coast softens into broader estuaries and sandy spits.
Beautiful.
A testament to powerful rivers, such as the Chehalis.
I just got here. Did I already cover the ceasefire? Hold your dang horses, buddy. Okay, rein them in. Bring them into the saddles. We're just taking a moment here. We're pausing. It's a long travel. Okay? Pilgrim, take a break for a moment.
And the Willapa.
He's asking chat, not you. He knew the risks when he typed. He knew the risks when he hit enter.
drain the interior, and meet the sea. Continuing south into Oregon, the scenic Oregon coast truly lives up
Look
to
at that fog. Dude, look at that fog over there. It's like a fucking wall.
its name. This stretch, from the Columbia River to the California border, is renowned for its iconic sea stacks, towering rock formations carved by millennia of erosion, and dramatic cliffs. Here, the coastline areas of the Pacific Northwest. It's steep, dry. Pacific Northwest, often described as a modified oceanic climate, it's overwhelmingly cool, wet, and notably windy.
It is pretty cool,
especially during the autumn and winter months. The proximity to the vast Pacific Ocean combined.
There we go. Here, I'm just gonna leave it on this because that's a really good picture. This reminds me of what it was like being up in Humboldt, Oregon coast. No, I agree. It'd be a fun trip. Yeah. Beautiful though. There's a reason why the Pacific Northwest is like cryptid hub for America, and it's because if you are even like a little bit too close to the water, you know, people get lost in the night. Did you guys get those massive storm cells, or is that a Gulf thing? Nah. There's not big storms there. It's not warm enough to really get those really aggressive, you know, it's not like hurricanes, for example. The Pacific Northwest doesn't really get hurricanes at all. Honestly, it's pretty, listen, I'm being serious when I say it's God country, okay? It is a perfect place to live. It's literally warm summer Mediterranean climate coded in the map that we looked at, which is warm Mediterranean summer is like universally acknowledged as a perfect, like that's as good as it gets. What do you mean? Warm Mediterranean, it's like there's not a culture on earth that wouldn't hear that and go like, oh, that sounds nice, you know? I'm not a big fan of like Italy or whatever, but that sounds nice. Also, yeah, all the trees are 100 meters tall. Alan Wake and Gravity Falls are respectively set in Washington State and Oregon, Vosh. Richard Fallis, you're such a fucking zoomer. You mention Gravity Falls and Alan Wake and you don't mention fucking Twin Peaks? Yeah, but isn't there a giant lake to darkness in Washington? I mean, if you fall into it, it gets dark, yeah. All right. How are we feeling with the new layout, by the way, the new setup? I feel like it looks pretty good, personally. I'm pretty happy with, I don't know, the framing. And it's definitely not just because some people in chat said I look skinnier. Okay, what is this Trump announcement? Has he even begun yet? The stockpile of drinks is a little weird, but the rest is good. Hey! Listen, Gatorade, dumbbells, workout bench. What do you want? We have not started? Or did we already do it? Okay, no, he hasn't even... Excuse me, he hasn't even begun yet. Oh yeah, that one final point, my beautiful partner, which you're making implicitly, which is another benefit to building a 1 billion person city in the Pacific Northwest that stretches like a little crescent cut out of the city of Coruscant from Star Wars, would be that arson just isn't going to get you as far, you know? There are forest fires up here, don't get me wrong, but you know where they're not? Right on the coast. Just, it's a little too wet over there, you know? I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I have hiked through proper wet season PNW rainforests, and I do not know how you could start a fire there. I feel like you could be given equipment to start a fire, and you would still not be able to start a fire. You know? Nah, bro, you're so wrong. Hey, better there than LA when it comes to fire prevention, okay? But there are earthquakes. Buddy, we're comparing to LA. The earthquakes up here are not as bad as the earthquakes down in LA. Rod, do you drink the Gatorade warm? Yeah, it's no sugar Gatorade. I just treat it like water, basically. It's like 5 calories per bottle. I don't like it cold because I feel like if a drink is going to be cold, the enjoyment of the drink has to be the cold itself, and at that point, the flavor in the drink is just a distraction. Does that make sense? If I'm drinking like you know, a soda or something else that has a strong flavor, I'm okay with it being cold because then it's like, oh, it's a cold, refreshing lemonade or soda or whatever. But if it's just slightly tinged with flavor, it being cold feels like it's competing in some way with the mild flavor, you know? Still like 300 milligrams of sodium per bottle, though? Yeah, dipshit, that's an electrolyte. What do you want? Do you want my heart to stop beating? Do you want the delicate chain of potassium and sodium flowing through my blood to cease communicating and the electrical signals that stimulate my heart stop and I just die here in front of you? Is that what you want? That'd be a sick video. Yeah, well. Would be a great clip. Great clip. Stream highlight. Do you think Gatorade is slightly tinged with flavor? The no sugar Gatorades? Yes, very lightly so. Here, I've got one right here. Oh, it's over, chat. 10 calories, not 5. 260 milligrams of sodium, 1 gram of total carbohydrates, 80 grams of potassium, citric acid, sodium citrate, triglycerides, blue 1, because it's blue. What do you want? Do you drink diet soda? Nah, I'm not really a soda guy, to be honest. That shit tastes like it's... Even diet soda tastes like it's burning the inside of my body. Diet soda's bad for your teeth, too? Yeah, well, I'm not anti-diet soda politically, for one, and I'm not against it in any kind of, like, gay foofy way like that. For me, it's just more like, I don't know. I feel, does anyone else feel like, because I've had a little bit of soda, I have a bottle of soda, not like Coke or whatever, but like Italian red cherry soda from Trader Joe's, because it's very tasty, which I have like a tiny swish of every day when I wake up. Like I have a little, like, and then I'm done, because it's strong on flavor. I don't need that much. How are you gonna like enjoy a nice meal if you're having Diet Coke with it? I don't get it. Like, I'm dieting. I get 2,000 calories a day. Here's my nice little minimally seasoned, like low carb 600 calorie pasta meal. And here with it is this shit that fucking feels like it's burning my throat out from the inside. Like, why even eat the pasta? You know what I mean? I feel like you're ruining your palate. I can't listen to your beverage takes. It's unbearable. All right, Green Goblin. How about you put some green in my bank and make your name red before you make talks like that? Fuck you. +2. Like and subscribe. Type shit. Trump. China. Okay, why is the market crashing again? Why is the market crashing again? Are we doing new tariffs? We're doing new tariffs, right? Let's go. Or we're threatening new tariffs or whatever. Let's go. New tariffs? Oh boy. Oh boy. Trump threatens to cancel meeting with China's Xi and impose new tariffs. The president proposed economic retaliation after Beijing imposed new restrictions on the export of rare earth minerals, which are vital supplies for U.S. makers of chips and batteries. Xi Jinping, you should do it. And Trump, do the tariffs. 1,000%. Destroy this country. Do it. Do it! Yeah, the NASDAQ really is down. Whew! Down 800 points off of that. That's pretty... Off just a threat? Didn't even price it in. Didn't even price in the fact that Trump's a retard. You think they would have done that by now? Bro, my Robinhood has crashed. That's fucking funny. Vosh, to my understanding, the potassium is not actually as useful. Not useful as an electrolyte in the body. I'll keep that in mind. I'll get my Gatorade potassium free next time. China's never going to buy my soybeans again, are they? Kowalski, I'm very sorry. I hope you can find the strength and determination to keep your yellow name up as your fields grow fallow and you're forced to sell soybeans at $2.90 a bushel for animal feed domestically or something. I did enjoy the email you sent me, by the way. It never occurred to me that one of the reasons why so many farmers pivot over to livestock is because you just need fewer people to do it. Like the livestock might involve more direct work day to day, I guess, like per person, but you need fewer hands to manage a comparable amount of value. Like $1 million of livestock in the abstract sense is like, I don't know, one farm full of livestock, whereas $1 million worth of soybeans is like a vast field before you. Isn't livestock the most harmful to the planet? Yes, but I'm talking about the economic incentive. I never really thought about it in the context of like, you know, labor investment, you know? It just takes more people to manage a big field. Soybeans are fairly easy. Tomatoes and lettuce are hard and require a lot of people. California has the manpower. Yeah, because of all the fucking illegal immigrants, you know? Not anymore. Tech stocks were hit particularly hard on Friday, with NVIDIA down almost 5%. Advanced micro devices falling almost 8%. Did you guys see that report that the over the past 6 months, the GDP has not grown at all, except for the AI bubble? Isn't that fucking insane? It was unfortunate. Without data centers, GDP growth was 0.1% in the first half of 2025. Just data centers. So that's not even like the entire AI bubble. I was wrong. When I said AI bubble, like sans the AI bubble, if you got rid of the entire AI bubble, we would be in a recession, objectively. Just the data centers alone, on their own, out, and our GDP flatlines for 6 months. That's crazy. How the AI bubble is being created per Bloomberg. What was the Wojak response to this or whatever? Or was it the troll face? Be me. Start new micronation. I have $100. I pay you $100 to stare at me. You pay me the $100 back to stare at you. Repeat back and forth. Next year, we have the highest GDP per capita of any nation in history. It all feeds into itself. I saw another tweet. I always say when I'm getting my insights just from a tweet, and that's what transparency looks like, but it's quite salient and fitting because I live in Seattle, that the fact that the biggest company in the world right now by evaluation, NVIDIA, is getting wealthy selling computer chips during an AI bubble is like how the people who made the most money during the gold rush were the ones selling picks and shovels. Yeah, NVIDIA versus the entire pharmaceutical industry. Meanwhile, you know, the average person's engagement with the pharmaceutical industry is a significant portion of their, you know, year-to-year salary, and the average person's engagement with NVIDIA is once every 4 years they begrudgingly buy a pre-made PC that has one of their, you know, GPUs stuffed in there. Hmm. 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 Why would I buy a pre-built? Because I said average person. I built my own PC. That's why it looks like that, and why it only has 32 gigs of RAM, even though it's got space for 64, because it wouldn't turn on. And then I took out, I took out some of the RAM sticks, and then it worked. And I never put any new ones back in. He's scared to touch it. That's how tech works past a certain point, okay? Just an interesting thing, NVIDIA has more market cap than the entire GDP of Germany. I really, really do hope that more people over time, like that this bubble convinces more people of the worthlessness of the stock market, GDP per capita, and all these other economic indicators. We need to start really doubling down on like getting economists to provide and rely on real useful indicators. It does not make sense that the average GDP per capita in fucking you know, Mississippi is higher than that in, you know, Germany or Britain or whatever, when people in Germany and Britain have a robust, wide range of access to amenities, public services, government subsidies and guarantees where their baseline is provided for. And then in like Mississippi, it's like, you know, people can't pay their car or medical bills, but they have 2 nice cars or something. That's just, there's so... it's so inefficient. I don't know. We're not looking at useful data. Yeah, the economy is what I can hold in my own hands, okay? If I can't dip my balls in it physically, then it's not real in an economic sense. It's kind of by design. Yeah, of course it is, but still, you know. Stone Age economist? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. NVIDIA just gave $100 billion to OpenAI, and they're using it to buy AMD GPUs. Well, hey, any money that goes to OpenAI goes in part to America, right? Same with AMD? No, just AMD. Sorry, AMD and Intel. Let's go. As Furman notes, investments in information processing equipment and software was only 4% of U.S. GDP for the first half of 2025, yet it also accounted for fully 92% of GDP growth over this area. Ooh. When you're not in a bubble. Okay, so we actually are adding a tariff. Trump puts extra 100% tariff on China. We just, again, like I feel crazy saying this, but like it's illegal. The president can't put tariffs on his own. That's Congress. Congress has just completely ceded the power. The president can only do it in times of emergency. He's emergency powers in this regard. There's no emergency. Just on all imports? A new tariff of 100% on imports from China, quote, over and above any tariff they're currently paying starting on November 1st. Trump also said the U.S. on that same date would impose export controls on, quote, any and all critical software. Okay. Well, all right. My fucking country, bro. Wait till we get to the fucking Qatar airbase thing, okay? Speaking of my country, Jesus fucking Christ. It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinary... You can't have to a Trump voice. You have to either not do it or do it. Do I want to do it? It has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position in trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world. Do I want to do it? I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. No, please stop. You can't tell me what to do. Stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them. This affects all countries, without exception, and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Now I'm going to stop. Based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking only for the USA and not other nations who are similarly threatened, starting November 1st, or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China, the US of A will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff they are currently paying. Also on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The other post he made about China was unhinged. How many has he made today? Oh my fucking God. This was this morning? He's outflanking the left. Some very strange things are happening in China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. Nobody has ever seen anything like this, but essentially it would clog the markets and make life difficult for virtually every country in the world, especially for China. We have been contacted by other countries who are extremely angry at this great trade hostility which came out of nowhere. Our relationship with China over the past 6 months has been a very good one. Your Trump voice is terrible. Oh, Dennis the Peasant. I remember your name. Wrong way to reintroduce yourself. Next time, what you wanted to say was, your Trump voice is excellent, sir. Here's a tier 1 subscription. Type shit. Thereby making this move on trade an even more surprising one. I have always felt that they've been lying in wait, and now, as usual, I have been proving right. There is no way China should be allowed to hold the world captive, but that seems to have been their plan for quite some time, starting with the magnets and other elements that they have quietly amassed into something of a monopoly position, a rather sinister and hostile move, to say the least. But the U.S. has monopoly positions also, much stronger and more far-reaching than China's. I have just not chosen to use them. There was never a reason for me to do so until now. The letter they sent is many pages long and details with great specificity each and every element that they want to withhold from the other nations. Things that were routine are no longer routine at all. I have not spoken to President Xi because there was no reason to do so. This was a real surprise not only to me but to all the leaders of the free world. I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at APEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so. The Chinese letters were especially inappropriate in that this was the day that, after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that timing was coincidental. Depending on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out, I'll be forced as President of the United States of America to finally counter their move. For every element they've been able to monopolize, we have 2. No, we do not. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps with all things, the time has come. Ultimately, though potentially peaceful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the US of A. One of the policies that we are calculating is very much increase in tariffs to Chinese products, USA. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. This self-sabotage, hegemonic suicide shit is offensive to the millennia of imperialist accomplishments. That's true, 100%. Yeah, the great like 19th century, you know, robber baron types are looking on from hell in disgust. The market reaction to this, yeah. The market reaction to China restricting rare earth mineral exports and America imposing 100% additional tariff, you know, that's not nothing. Let's go! The red wave MAGA actually wanted. That's true. Well, we'll see how it pans out. I'd be very surprised if these tariffs actually end up being implemented, because they would be ruinous to the economy on top of the rare earth mineral restrictions. I don't know enough about the actual like processing and you know, economics of making chips. I don't know exactly what we rely on or how much our dependence on China can be transferred to other countries, but it seems like this is one of those things that's going to be adjusted with time. You know? Funny stuff, though. What happened to the Ukrainian minerals? Well, they're still fighting a war over there, you know? Nice. New China tariffs. Here. You loser? Here. What are you up to? What are you up to? Looking scrungly? If you are distressed, then why are you purring? Curious. Choke. Choke. Be free. All right. Abusing cats on stream, SMH. Yeah, I'm taking some heat off Hassan. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Let me find this fucking thing that I retweeted so we can talk about the Gaza ceasefire. You all know perfectly goddamn well how I feel about this. This is like the 17th ceasefire, okay? Netanyahu and a bunch of other Israeli, you know, war cabinet officials have already announced that they don't really have any intention of pulling troops out of Gaza or any of that bullshit, so... Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, okay, here we go. Close, 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 go, ba, 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 ba. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Catherine
Hello.
Yarahunga. An agreed ceasefire in Gaza has come into effect. The ceasefire comes into force after Israel's government formally approved the first stage of President Trump's ceasefire plan, which will see the release of all hostages held in Gaza. In a statement on X, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the government has just now approved the framework for the release of all of the hostages, the living and the deceased. President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and the president's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, also attended the cabinet meeting, sitting next to Benjamin Netanyahu. The first phase of the ceasefire plan will also see the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, and Israel will withdraw its troops to an agreed line in Gaza. Speaking at the Israel cabinet meeting, Benjamin Netanyahu was once again full of...
I find it difficult to talk about this because I don't want to foment false hope. I think the real driving force here ultimately is Trump's ego. Much the same way that, you know, Trump seemed legitimately upset over the strike in Qatar from Israel, or irritated at, like, am I thinking Witkoff? You know, his communications over his head with Israel. Trump doesn't care about the genocide of the Palestinian people. He wants to be seen as like a big dick peacemaker, but he definitely doesn't really care about Zionism. Like, why would he care about that, you know? Yeah, the same thing happened with Putin, exactly, right? Like, he was totally fine repeating Kremlin talking points about how the war was started by Ukraine and so on. But as soon as Putin irritated him personally by getting in his way of being seen as the great savior, and he's just started unambiguously supporting Ukraine, right? Again, like, he's a mad king. If you flatter him, he'll be on your side. He's very easy to woo, that sort of thing. That being said, like, it doesn't change the fact that we know the Trump administration has succeeded in putting more pressure on Israel than the Biden administration ever did. It is unbelievable and indefensible how much the Biden administration capitulated to Israel. We now know, because it's been enough time, like, we know for a fact they were not putting any effort into achieving a ceasefire. This is a blight on the Democrats that will last longer than any of us will be alive. Like, it is one thing in a Cold War realpolitik kind of sense for both American parties to be complicit in a genocide, but for the Democrats, who are ostensibly the more progressive party, to actually get outflanked, even if it's by Trump's ego, on this issue. For all the Democratic officials who were, I mean, God, so many sights and sounds from the election, right? The Biden State Department officials lying to everyone's face and, like, giggling about it over and over. The people leaving the DNC and plugging their ears and laughing so they didn't have to hear the names of dead Palestinian children being read by activists outside. It's little stuff like that that adds up. And don't get me wrong, the Republicans don't care about killing people at all, but they're the Democrats. Like, the Republicans are ideologically in favor of the slaughter of Muslim people, right? We know that. It's what's on the box. For the Democrats, like, for that to have been like a secret priority so important that they were willing to compromise their election chances in 2024 over it. God, remember how when Kamala Harris was campaigning, they had staffers who were, like, phone banking and asking people and so on, like, who do you support? Why do you support them? They did not create a category for people who were upset with Kamala Harris over her support of Israel. They just filed it under, like, general demands or no answer. It was like no answer, no response. If you told them just straight to their face, I do not like Kamala Harris because she's not spoken in defense of the Palestinian people enough, they would not even write that down. They're fucking monsters, dude. It's crazy. Kamala Harris might have been incidentally better than Biden. I find it difficult to imagine, though, considering how allergic she was to pushing back on him in any way. Biden was a monster when it came to Israel. Worse than Trump, because, God, at least, like, Trump's biggest excesses are stupid shit like, we're going to turn Gaza into a world-class resort with a golden statue. But we all know for a fact that when he says that, he's not actually thinking of the genocide of the Palestinian people. He's just an idiot. He's just thinking about him having a resort. He meant it literally. He actually meant that, because he's stupid. He just wants the real estate. In his mind, he's probably thinking, and then the Palestinian people will have a cool resort they can go to give me money. He's not ideologically involved in this at all. in this respect, like, only caring about yourself is more morally defensible than caring only about the Israelis, which is, of course, the position of Biden and his cronies.
Praise for President Trump for helping to secure the release of the remaining hostages in the coming days.
We're at a momentous development in the last 2 years. We fought during these 2 years to achieve our war aims, and a central one of these war aims is to return the hostages, all of the hostages, the living and the dead. And we're about to achieve that goal. We couldn't have achieved it without the extraordinary help of President Trump and his team, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They worked tirelessly with Ron and his team, our team. That and the courage of our soldiers who entered Gaza.
You don't think Netanyahu's clear preference for Trump has anything to do with this? No, genuinely, no, I don't buy it anymore. We have so much evidence from so many people, from, I believe, like, Netanyahu's own memoir, where he talks about his relationship with Obama and Biden back when Biden was a VP, to 1 million staffers and State Department officials who quit during the Biden administration. Like, time and time and time again, the only decisive factor for Trump is his ego. But that's something. For Biden, there was, like, internally, they were actively working to undermine any pro-Palestinian sentiment, keeping the State Department from assessing whether or not the Israeli government had been using its weapons offensively against the terms of their procurement. They were actively, like, putting his weight on the scale to favor Israel. Even a neutral Biden, a hypothetical person who is neutral to the conflict going on in Gaza, which might actually be Trump, because if he only cares about himself, that kind of makes everything neutral except for how it relates to him. You know, but yeah, Biden was a collaborator. Trump might, or Netanyahu might like Trump more because they're both authoritarians, but it ended up not working in Netanyahu's favor. Biden was a way better president for Israel. You know? Ever since Trump became president, support for Israel in America has only been dropping. Hasn't even really been increasing among Republicans.
And the combined military and diplomatic pressure that isolated Hamas, I think, has brought us to this point. I want to personally thank both of you, Steve, Jared. It's been long hours.
Wow.
You worked around the clock, but not only worked, I think you put in your brains and your hearts. And we know that it's for the benefit of Israel and the United States, for the benefit of decent people everywhere, and for the benefit of these families who will finally get to be with their loved ones.
Meanwhile, the deputy chairman of the Hamas Political Bureau said he's received guarantees from the US and others that the war...
Can I just read this? This is, I apologize, this is an AI overview, but otherwise I would just go digging around. It would probably take me a while for another overview because I don't want to read the fucking wiki article on it. In Netanyahu's 2022 memoir, Bibi, My Story, he describes his strained relationship with Obama as ideological rather than personal. In contrast, he recalls a longer and warmer relationship with then Vice President Joe Biden. Netanyahu recounts his first White House meeting with Obama, during which the president told him to relinquish West Bank settlements. He viewed Obama's tone as condescending, saying he, quote, treated him like a neighborhood thug, which is better treatment than Netanyahu deserves, mind you. However, Netanyahu highlights his long history with Biden, which dates back to the 80s when Biden was a senator. He recalls that Biden often served as an intermediary to smooth things over during disagreements between Netanyahu and Obama. Like, this is stuff that Netanyahu admitted. It's not... Like, Netanyahu would literally undercut Obama by going to Biden, or maybe Biden would undercut Obama by trying to work with Netanyahu. Like, it's unbelievable how bad Biden was in this. It's like difficult to imagine any possible presidential candidate that could have been worse. Fuck. At least somebody like I don't think that Buttigieg would have had the time to develop these long-term. I think that Buttigieg might have been more like Obama. You know, he hasn't had time to develop these like long-term demon affiliations or whatever. I think he would have been like more reasonable. What about Hillary? Hillary was Secretary of State. We know how she'd handle Israel better than Biden. Clinton didn't like Netanyahu. Presumably, Hillary Clinton didn't like him either. You know, Biden was the worst guy. The worst of all of them.
Has completely ended.
Today, we announce that we have reached an agreement to end the war and aggression against our people and to begin implementing a permanent ceasefire, the withdrawal of the occupation forces, the entry of aid, the opening of the Rafah crossing in both directions, and the exchange of prisoners, where 250 Palestinian prisoners who were sentenced to life imprisonment will be released, in addition to 1,700 prisoners from the Gaza Strip who were arrested after October 7th, in addition to the release of all children and women. We have received guarantees from the mediating brothers.
W quote, there should be an end to the occupation that began in 1967. An agreement must establish Palestine as a homeland for the Palestinian people, just as Israel is a homeland for the Jewish people. Yeah, it's just Biden, man. It's just Biden.
And from the American administration, all of whom confirm that the war has ended completely.
Well, earlier, Tom Fletcher, UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator, joined my colleague Amal Rajan from BBC Radio 4.
An administration official remembers being astonished upon seeing the transcript of the conversation. Quote, Biden completely undercut the Secretary of State and gave Bibi a strong indication that whatever was being planned in Washington was hot-headedness and he could diffuse it when he got back. Oh my God, man. All of this was before the election, by the way. Before 2024, before Biden had the debate, before he had to drop out, all of this was known. This was all known. No one in the Obama administration did more to shield Netanyahu from consequences. If we cannot wipe this shit from our ass, the Democratic Party has no future. Like, I envision a future in which, despite his incredible unpopularity, every single Democratic president is forced to pay fealty to Biden for no fucking reason. For no fucking reason. Every candidate has to be like, no, he was great. Trump doesn't have to do that. Trump doesn't have to do that with McCain or with Romney or with Bush. He doesn't have to do it with anyone. Trump can just be Trump. But every Democrat it is going to have to bend the knee and talk about how Biden was actually a great president or something, and instantly will tank in the polls because of it, because everyone fucking hates him. I think it's a good sign that Pritzker publicly backed an arms embargo despite being a former AIPAC board member 20 years ago. Yeah, Pritzker is not like an ideological Zionist. I understand you're going to rub shoulders with power brokers at some point in your quest to be governor or whatever else. Is this why AOC has to support the dome? I think so, yeah. I mean, we all remember that fucking Pelosi convo, right? Was Bibi pro-Trump before Biden dropped out? Implicitly, yes. He wasn't taking like extremely hard lines on it. He wasn't being super duper open out and about, but yeah, it was pretty obvious that he preferred Trump to Biden, which was stupid of him. Because, again, Netanyahu is a stupid, greedy fascist. Like, he wants everything. Like the Germans, they wanted everything. It's not enough to just have the Sudetenland or whatever. Netanyahu was thinking like, oh, sure, Biden might do everything that I ask and might play cover for me to the media and lie on my behalf. But what if we had somebody who was just openly screaming and cheering every time we shot children? Unfortunately, again, Trump doesn't actually, like, care. He just wants to look good. He should have... Netanyahu didn't know what he had. Biden had this version of the ceasefire in front of him last year, but did not agree because Bibi said they don't want to stop. So if you ever need more spite to hate the Democrats for falling on the sword for Israel, yep. Hamas agreed to all the same terms in September 2024, as outlined in the 3-week deal that I had received both written and voice messages in Arabic and English. Even though the 3-week deal proposal landed on the desk of Biden, his person in charge, Brett McGurk, refused to stray from the bad deal that he was negotiating. I met with members of the American negotiating team in October 2024, and they were frustrated as I was with their inability to convince Biden and Biden's people to look seriously at the deal on the table. The Qataris had invited me to Doha in October 2024, and I presented to them the deal that Hamas agreed to, which they were fully aware of, but they said that without the American adoption of the plan, nothing could be done, because the obstacle was Israel, not Hamas. And the Biden administration put no pressure on Israel whatsoever to accept the terms of this deal, even though it would have meant a release of the hostages. Neat.
Today program to discuss the UN's plans for the coming weeks and months to get aid into Gaza.
So the UN has a plan. There's been unimaginable suffering in Gaza, tens of thousands killed, including over 18,000 children. That's a child killed on average every hour for 2 years. And this agreement's a real breakthrough. But the real breakthrough will be when the hostages are home, when children are fed, when they can sleep without terror under a...
All that being said, I'm still reasonably sure that the ceasefire is going to be broken very, very soon by Israel. They're not even going to frame it as a ceasefire being broken. Western media will be like, this, you know, ceasefire holds firm as Israel bombs refugee tents or some stupid bullshit like that. They love talking like that. Didn't they already do that? I don't know, probably.
Israeli police confirm the president is expected to visit Israel on Monday. The Israeli military says the U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza is now in effect. Thousands of displaced Palestinians are now making the trek north to Gaza City as the Israeli military pulls out from agreed upon areas. Israeli vehicles, military vehicles, are on the move, apparently pulling back from some areas. This officially starts the 72-hour clock for Hamas to release the hostages. 47 who...
Telling you, it's going to be some bullshit. Like, in some way, there's going to be some fuck up in the transfer of the hostages or whatever, and they're going to say, oh, ceasefire's out the window, or some shit like that.
Were kidnapped in the October 7th, 2023 attacks are still in Gaza. At least 20 are still believed to be alive. In an address to the nation today, to Israel today, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu implied for the first time that not all the remains of the deceased hostages will return. Let's get right to CNN's Jeremy Diamond with the latest from Tel Aviv, where I know this nation, the entire nation, watching all these events.
Israeli warplanes launched airstrikes on southern Gaza early Friday morning, hours after a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel was meant to come into effect to end hostilities in the 2-year war, it has been reported. Okay. Well, yeah. There you go.
So closely, Jeremy.
Absolutely, and we are continuing to see people flock here to Hostage Square in order to, celebrate this moment together of all of these hostages who will be now returning within the next 72 hours. We know that that timeline has now started because the Israeli military confirmed at noon today that they had completed their withdrawal from parts of Gaza. And once they completed that, that means that a ceasefire, according to them, is officially in effect, and also that Hamas now has 72 hours to return the hostages, which could put the return of the hostages as late as, but perhaps sooner than, Monday at noon. And that also suggests that President Trump's visit on Monday will coincide.
Hostage Square, get fucking real. It's Israel. It's pound for pound like the world's most evil country. You know, of course they're going to. Dude, I guarantee you can't go to a fucking coffee shop in Tel Aviv without half the drinks being like novelty, like some insane, like in dedication to, in memory to October 7th bullshit, you know? Yeah, it's a deeply sick country. The whole country's national will is committed towards like ethnic extermination. What do you expect?
quite shortly thereafter or right before the release of those hostages, and perhaps we will see President Trump actually being able to greet some of those hostages. We know, of course, that here in Hostage Square yesterday we saw a lot of American flags in the air, a lot of people thanking and crediting President Trump directly.
The majority hate Benny, go figure. Yeah, but remember, the main reason they don't like Netanyahu is either because he's corrupt or because they don't think he's handling the war well, not because they think that the extermination of the Palestinian people is immoral. There's plenty of support for even more Hitlerite leaders, if you could imagine such a thing.
For his role in securing this agreement that is not only going to secure the release of all of the hostages, but according to the president and the mediators, is also ending the war in Gaza once and for all. We are already beginning to see in Gaza how people are reacting to this, not only the celebrations, but as you mentioned, the thousands of people who are beginning to move along Al-Rashid Street, that coastal road in Gaza.
Anyway, I don't really have much to say about this because I think it's all a fucking farce. If this actually ends up meaningfully holding in any way, like if this actually ends up improving lives for Palestinian people, good for Trump. Unqualified win for his administration, even if it's done entirely for the sake of his ego, and an unbelievable, unimaginable black fucking blight on the Biden administration and on the Democrats for continuing to be complicit and for not owning up to this. You know? Unbelievable. And in 2028, I want every single Democratic presidential candidate to be asked questions about this. I want this to be like a defining question for them. Because what's that line? If you can't draw the line at genocide, how the fuck are you going to draw the line at democracy? How can we trust you to defend the American people against the slow encroach of fascism if you can't if in this most obvious, morally obvious, the most morally uncomplicated conflict imaginable, you can't, like, everything is lined up for you. Trump is better than you on this. It's politically expedient. It's more popular to be pro-Palestinian, especially within the Democratic base. But even if you just look at all Americans, like in a general, like, it's the easiest layup. It's popular. It's right. But, you know, I hate Biden more than anything. You should. Like, Trump is very morally predictable, man. At least Trump's just in it for himself. Awful, awful man and a fascist and, you know, caused untold carnage. But his moral code is extremely obvious and really easy to glean from a distance. And you kind of always know, like, why he's doing something he's doing. But to this day, man, the things that Biden did and what he enabled, what he, like, enabled, I guess. I already said enabled. It baffles the mind. It's baffling. It's incomprehensible. I will never understand it. It's completely unforgivable. I don't know. Mine's so baffled he said enabled twice. Yeah, because I'm upset. Because I'm flashing for... Because I have prophetic visions, the likes of which you could never fathom. I'm looking forward into 2028 and seeing a host of Democratic presidential candidates all waffle on the question of, do you condemn the Biden administration's handling of Israel? How does it make you feel that Trump was able to get a ceasefire, but you couldn't? Here's 80 million pieces of evidence that the Biden administration was actively complicit in defending Israel as they committed a genocide, which they knew was happening. How do you feel about that? And all of these people going, and then they'll just make up any lie after. They'll say that Biden couldn't have known, or they'll say, well, actually, Biden did the most he could have at the time. You know, the U.S. president actually isn't that powerful or influential of a figure in Israel. So really, he did like as much as you could expect, and it was really just luck that Trump was able to secure the ceasefire. Yeah, okay. Oh, shit I've heard from Democrats, by the way. A real thing Democrats have said, presumably because they don't believe in the bully pulpit. They don't believe in the idea that pressure is a thing that you can put on people. They just think that liberals, you know, they think being the president just means your job is to do executive orders and sign bills and stuff. Like you don't have any kind of meaningful influence over your party or the country. So what pressure did Trump apply to Israel specifically? I mean, we could look into it, but there's been a lot of back channel stuff that we've gleaned. I don't think the explicit pressure is usually known because it's kind of like back end stuff. We know that Trump was really upset with the strike on Qatar that Israel did without notifying them first. We know that Trump is upset of Witkoff going over his head to talk with Israel. We know that Trump has been upset at Israel's continuation of the conflict down in Gaza, even though he wants to be the bigliest president who ever stopped 8 wars. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we know about. I'm guessing there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about as well. We do know there's been testimony from multiple people who work in those like back channel like negotiation spaces who have essentially confirmed that the Biden administration put no pressure on Netanyahu. Like none. Just like the Biden administration would lie preemptively to defend Israel before even consulting with them. Like they were just doing it reflexively. Whereas like just based on publicly available information, I can only assume that more pressure is happening behind the scenes with Trump. Also, him posting how Hamas has agreed to the ceasefire. Yeah. He was pressuring Hamas, not Israel. The deadline was against Hamas. Zigabiz, use your head. What do you think it implies if the president is pushing for a ceasefire deal aggressively and pressuring Hamas to agree to it? What do you think that implies about Israel? If Trump was driving for that support within Hamas, and then Israel vetoed it, like that's implicitly a rejection of something that the U.S. supports. That's how it works. It would be unbecoming for the president to directly put pressure on Israel, given our relationship with Israel, because we're supposed to be, quote unquote, on the same page, you know? By implicitly putting pressure on Israel, by directly putting pressure on, right, but Israel vetoed it under Biden. That's my point. Yeah, but Biden didn't push for it. Wait, Zigabiz, think. Biden didn't press for that deal. We just read a passage describing this. There was no pressure. Hamas agreed to that deal, but the Biden administration never put a bunch of pressure on like publicizing it. The Biden administration wasn't even taking it seriously. That was what we just read. I can find it here. Yeah, right here. Inability to convince Biden and Biden's people to look seriously at the deal on the table. The Biden administration was complicit. They didn't want this deal to go through because Biden really, really, really gets off the Palestinian children being vaporized. Even Israeli officials were surprised Biden didn't do shit. Yeah, no, there's so much back-end stuff, man. It's all out there. Anyway, forgive me. I'm going to go take a piss super, super quick, and then we'll get back to it because there's a fuckload of stuff to talk about. Thank you, love. You know, I do think this camera angle makes me look a little bit skinnier. I think it might be the fact that it's facing me more directly. Like you just say look, it's not like looking down. I'm just Hello. Hello. Like that? You know. Less of a downward angle helps. You know what I don't get? How the fuck does Hassan look so good when his camera angle is so down? Doesn't he tend to lean? He like leans a lot, right? Hair plug. Hey, we're not shaming here, okay? If I was balding, I would probably also go to Turkey for that. He's just a model, unfortunately. Ah. I think it helps that he's got a small head, so when it's a downward angle, it makes his head look bigger, but his head's kind of small anyway, so it looks more proportional. Whereas I have a big head, so when the downward angle makes my head look larger, it makes me look like I have a double big head. But now we're just facing directly on, which is... Is that he's Turkish, the hair plugs? Turkey is like the place you go for hair plugs. I know that much. I know they just have a very, they just have a really good industry for that. Like, they talk about Brazilian butt lifts, and there are some countries that focus on different levels of, like, cosmetic surgery. Beverly Hills is where a lot of people go for facelifts and Botox and stuff like that. I don't know. It's fine. All right. Oh, shit. Why do I have so many tabs open? It's making me nervous. Oh, no. Okay, let's clear a few that I don't have a full segment for. Takaichi's bid for Japan's premiership jolted as Komeito quits ruling coalition. Oh, wait, already? That didn't take long. Huh. Komeito political party quitting the country's ruling coalition led by the LDP, a move that could derail Sanae Takaichi's path to becoming the country's first female prime minister. Failed to provide sufficient answers regarding political funding issues. Okay, yeah, didn't take long. Following the news, the yen strengthened to 152.64 against the dollar, partially unwinding the so-called Takaichi trade that had driven the yen past the 150 mark and sent Japanese equities to record high. Wait, so-called Takaichi trade. Wait, what is the Takaichi trade? Was Takaichi betting on a weaker yen relative to the dollar? Why would she ever bet on a weaker yen in this era? She wants to print more money? If any, you should be taking advantage of your stronger yen right now. Well, regardless. Close that. Oh yeah, federal layoffs. Let's go! Everybody, let's go! They're finally doing it in the Department of Education, of course. Yeah, we'll see how substantial these layoffs end up being. Happy 10th day of the federal government shutdown, by the way. We're well on our way to setting some records. Basically been no motion in the federal government, you know, no movement forward. We're not any closer to a resolution. So yeah, let's get we don't need the federal government, basically. Come on.
On the 10th day of the government shutdown, the director of the
on the 10th day of the shutdown, vote gave to me 2,000 fewer DOE employees.
Office of Management and Budget says federal firings are now underway. Russ Vought just tweeted the following one-line sentence. He said the RIFs have begun. It's, of course, an acronym that means reduction in force or terminations. CNN's Arlette Saenz has the latest from Capitol Hill. Arlette, what can you tell us?
Well, Brianna, this marks a significant escalation in the government shutdown fight.
At Vosh, beautiful singing and clever improv. Thank you. That's the shit I want to see from chat anytime I try out anything, you know? I want it to read like the AI summary of a favorable Google review. Paid chatter? You can't prove that.
As President Trump is now making good on his threats for potentially conducting mass layoffs within the federal workforce if this shutdown dragged on. Now, we're still learning to trying to learn exactly how many federal workers will be impacted by these layoffs. But an OMB spokesperson said that the number is expected to be substantial. The White House at one point had previously floated that layoffs could potentially number into the thousands. So we will work to learn more about who is exactly impacted. But the White House had made clear going into this that the programs that they would target would be ones that did not align with President Trump's priorities. And he has said time and time again that any cuts that they will be making will be to Democratic programs. But this comes after Trump had really held off for a little bit of time in enacting these mass layoffs. There have been Republicans up here on Capitol Hill who have warned of the political perils that mass layoffs could have relating to the federal workforce. And so still, there's a lot to learn about who exactly will be impacted.
Some of the GS federal workers got called back and are working without pay, and service members are being offered all food and essential and layaway at base commissaries till the shutdown is over. Yeah, my understanding right now is that, like, they are doing layoffs, or at least they've announced layoffs, but so far, like, a lot of it's kind of ambiguous. Some people are on leave, and some people are being forced to work without pay. Well, forced, you know, they can quit. Are being directed to work without pay. And then there's been an indicator of broader layoffs, but also a lot of people are saying they haven't seen anyone get the pink slip. So I have no idea. I stand by what I said before, which is the longer this goes on, the more people blame Republicans, especially when they do really stupid fucking shit, like say they don't want to offer back pay. The more people get fired, who fucking cares? They were going to fire them anyway. They already wanted to fire them, and they're probably going to fucking rehire them back anyway, okay? Like they did after the Doge layoffs.
But this is just another point that Republicans are trying to make as they're trying to exert greater pressure on Democrats to change their mind.
Even just the threat of the layoffs has boosted the Dem candidate for governor in Virginia by 6 points. Nice.
Approach to the shutdown.
And Arlette, today marks the first time that many federal employees begin seeing the impacts of the shutdown on paychecks. Of course, members of the military are poised to begin going without pay next week.
Yeah, Brianna, many federal workers started to see smaller paychecks today, and October 15th is a date that we have all been keeping our eye on. That is the first check that members of the military will miss if this shutdown drags on. Right now,
historically, things go great for the administration when the military stops receiving their paychecks. Just, I've read a lot of history, and one thing that I don't see crop up time and time again is that being able to pay your soldiers is really fucking important.
Senate is out of session until early next week, so it does not seem like there is going to be an immediate resolution to this issue. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson has been facing some pressure to bring up a standalone bill that would guarantee pay for the military as this shutdown.
Almost like you're fucking desperate to keep them on your side because you know that using the military to suppress local dissent is pretty much your #1 best bet for making it forward. No, I see it. I see it. Democrats better not support that shit.
Continues. There are over 100 House Republicans who have signed on to a standalone measure on that matter, but the Speaker told me earlier today that he does not plan to bring that up. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We have already had those votes. We have done that. We did it 3 weeks ago. The Republican Party stands for paying the troops. The Democrats are the ones that are demonstrating over and over and over now 8 times.
I see. They don't want to risk putting forward this bill because he understands that he's already being blamed for the shutdown. And by passing a bill that selectively pays the military, it's an acknowledgement that the Republicans could, in fact, get the entire bill passed if they wanted to negotiate, but they're not, so it doesn't. This would be an element of them negotiating. They're like, oh, okay, well, what about this selective one? Oh, so you can negotiate to put forward people's pay.
That they don't want troops to be paid.
Now, the Speaker also told reporters that bringing up a vote on a standalone bill to fund military pay would be a pointless exercise because he said the votes just aren't there in the Senate. But we have been talking to lawmakers from both chambers who have said that they would like to see action on this as those military families are bracing for missed paychecks starting next Wednesday.
Yeah, I've been talking to military families.
They already caved? No, this is the National Defense Authorization Act for 2026. This is a different thing.
Who certainly do not feel that it is pointless. They would love to see how people would vote on that. Arlette Saenz live for us on the Hill. Thank you.
As we continue to follow the fallout from the government shutdown, the White House today now making good on its threat to fire federal workers.
And this is coming on the 10th.
Don't forget they'll go without pay after being forced to watch Hegseth's speech. Number one optimized plan to get military on your side. Okay? Step one. Get every general in the world to fly over. It doesn't matter if they have plans. They need to fly over right now. Step two. Have a drunk retard yell at them for an hour. Tell them they're going to have to do fitness tests quarterly, even though they're 65. Step three. Don't pay them. Step four. Mr. Pentagon, please, can you please deploy troops to voting locations so we can win the election? Can you please, sir? We really need you, Mr. Pentagon, sir. We really need you to help us out with this one. Fucking genius!
The shutdown with no solution in sight at this point, and we're joined now by pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz. Frank, as we're hearing word that people are going to start getting riffed, right? So some folks who are furloughed are going to start getting fired. I wonder sort of what the risk factors are here politically. Because you have both sides at this point playing chicken. So I
only in a democracy could they get to step four. Isn't democracy wonderful? In any other system, the military would have already killed them. That's true. A testament to the strength and enduring nature of our institutions that anyone could survive making plays this bad with the military. Jesus Christ.
What questions
if this was Rome, the Rubicon would have been crossed a long time ago, okay?
Asking about how this is going to play out.
I'm wondering, and you set it up perfectly, I'm wondering how they're going to communicate this. The public was overwhelmingly in favor of ending wasteful Washington spending, of making the government more efficient, more effective, and more accountable. And yet, month after month of DOGE and efforts in Washington to make those changes did not receive the same kind of public support that they did in the initial polling, in the initial conversations. And the reason why is communication. Rather than doing this as support for the American taxpayer and as acknowledgement the government had gotten too big and too ineffective, too unwieldy, it seemed like it was being done out of vengeance, out of punishment. And nobody was looking for that. That in the end, these are human beings and how they were being eliminated.
I don't care for this analysis. Hold on. Somebody's saying that Mike Pence is getting roasted on C-SPAN by his voters.
On the Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have two medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay.
Oh, if you don't like your medical bills thus far, lady, I have got some bad news for you. If the Republican version, I'm gonna guess, judging from how you from your problems, you probably rely on some kind of Medicaid. You are not gonna be happy with what happens to your insurance premiums if that GOP version of the funding bill goes through.
Regularly, you could stop this, and you could be the one.
VA, still not happy.
That could say military is getting paid, and I think that it is awful. And the audacity of someone who makes six figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The reason I've been so angry this week, and they've been calling me out on media, Johnson's angry. I am angry because of situations just like yours. I have a big military district, and my district is the home of the Global Strike Command at Barksdale Air Force Base and Fort Polk, the Joint Readiness Training Center. I have one of the biggest military districts and military families in America. I have a lot of airmen and soldiers who are deployed right now, and they have young families at home, and they have children in health situations like yours. This is what keeps me up at night. I want you to hear something very clearly.
Again, remember, Republicans are at their strongest rhetorically when they're talking down to people they hate and want to kill. And they're at their weakest rhetorically when they're trying to pretend they're not demons.
Republicans are the ones delivering for you. We had a vote to pay the troops. It was the continuing resolution 3 weeks ago. Every single Republican but two voted to keep the government open so that your paycheck can flow. Every Democrat in the House, except for one, voted to close it. The Democrats are the ones that are preventing you from getting a check. If we did a vote on the floor to pay troops, it's not a lawmaking exercise because Chuck Schumer is going to hold that up in the Senate. He is demonstrating by voting now 6 times to keep the government closed that he does not want the troops to be paid. And you should listen to his comments last night, as reported this morning. He is enjoying this. He said every day gets better.
You can't do this when at the same time Trump and Vote are gloating and posting, you know, here comes the Reaper. You're like, you yourself have gloated about how the shutdown enables the president. You can't do that. You can't do it. You need message clarity. Even fascists need message clarity. If anything, fascists need it more. You know, fascists need it more than Democrats because you have nothing else to fall on. Rhetoric's your whole game.
Better for us, quote unquote. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are preventing your family from getting the care they need, not Republicans. And my heart goes out to you.
And just so you know, Politico is reporting that House Democrats are preparing a letter to you, Speaker Johnson, urging a vote.
Preparing a letter
on troop pay.
You know why they are? Because they all voted on the record 3 weeks ago to stop pay for the troops. They're desperate to try to get on record, but that would be a show vote for Democrats. They do not care about it. They demonstrated that with their votes. Look at what they do and how they vote.
This is such a shit show, man, and it's working so badly for him. I love it.
Okay, we are now over a week into this government shutdown, and for some,
my party, and I'm very disappointed in you because you do have the power to call the House back.
it was this, and I'm going to have a.
No, that's the same clip that we already saw. Hold on, how long did this go on?
The Republic life harder.
To
Jeffries and Michael,
that were
one of 3 New Yorker
alternative to bring to
escapes. When was Mike Johnson actually in here? Open Forum Part 1? I thought this was the one where Mike Johnson was in for a bit.
Washington,
like certain appointments or whatever. I think I understand the reason why they have it, but it's the shutdown seemed to be more destructive than anything else. And a simple majority would be a much better thing to do. And
what do you think of that, Mr. Speaker?
It's a great question. Thanks for asking that. We've been asked that a lot in the last 24 hours or so.
Cut his ass off.
You know, I run the House. We have a different set of rules. The Senate has a lot of rules and traditions. Some of them seem archaic. The filibuster is a tradition there that people
have about. This is serious business. The other thing is that Trump is a dictator. So it doesn't matter what Johnson does or what the guy over in the Senate does. All the thing that has to happen is if Trump says open the government, it will be open tomorrow. We have to understand that. And they keep talking about we're putting names out there about Trump being the dictator and this and that.
This is not true, but the fact that he believes it is really, really funny. Because again, this is what happens if there's a shutdown and your party controls all 3 branches of government. He's wrong here, but it does feel that way to a lot of people. Trump can do anything. The Republicans control Congress. Why is the government shut down? They can do whatever they want.
You just called, and he continues to call.
All right, Alexander, and he's talking about Representative Adelita Grijalva being not being sworn in.
Yeah, Alexander gave me a lot to answer there. Let me go real quickly. I typically vote with President Trump. I do because that's my party, and I lead my party in the House, and our agenda is working for the American people. You can make an argument. We had the most productive, successful opening of a Congress and administration in history. The One Big Beautiful Bill was a massive achievement for the American people, and we would need 2 hours.
Still polling negatively.
For me to unpack all the things that you're going to feel and see that are very positive because of that. President Trump's not a dictator. You said if he says open the government, it will open. President Trump has been calling for the government to be open since before this began. In fact, I was in the meeting in the Oval Office with President Trump and, of course, Leader Schumer, Leader Jeffries, Leader Thune, and I. And he pleaded with Chuck Schumer, don't do this, Chuck. Keep the government open. Why would you do it? We have policy disputes and debates and disagreements. We'll work on that. But we shouldn't harm the American people in the process. With regard to Rep-elect Grijalva, she was elected in a special election to fill her father's seat.
This is the person that Mike Johnson refuses to swear in because she would add the vote that would allow the House to demand a vote on the Epstein files. So right, like this, it's a pretty big story too. The House Majority Leader is literally blocking a Democrat from becoming a congresswoman, even though she already won the election. You know, it's essentially like a small House version of the electors crisis back in like if Mike Pence had refused to certify the electors back on January 6th.
That's a great achievement. We applaud her. I look forward to administering the oath of office to her to make her an official member of the House as soon as we get back to regular session. Right now, Chuck Schumer holds the cards on when that can happen because he is the one that has shut down the government, and that is a problem.
And Mr. Speaker, you have there were two others that you did swear in during pro forma sessions. Why won't you do it this time?
Great question. So this was brought up yesterday. Well, you had those two Floridians who you did in a pro forma session when not everyone was there.
That's needed for them to live their life because
or pay troops.
I was wondering today if you could talk to me a little bit about what the Republicans are doing to ensure the security of our rural hospitals.
Oh, man. You're going to die.
I'm concerned here in New Mexico about the security of these hospitals. If you could please fill us in.
Yeah, thanks for the question. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, we added a $50 billion fund to support rural hospitals. I have a lot of rural areas in my district in Louisiana.
Out of curiosity, why was that needed? What happened to rural hospitals that required them to get a direct bailout from the federal government?
Hospitals provide vital care for lots of people, and they've been struggling because of the policies of the previous administration, frankly, and the way that Obamacare has gotten too costly. It's affecting access to care, all those things. So recognizing the problem, we made that a big part of our big signature legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill. The problem is right now, and one of the things I'm so upset about,
it's Medicaid funding. Yeah, and having it be this like discretionary fund for the support of rural hospitals means in practice they get to pick and choose which ones live and which ones die. Like that was one of the big negatives of the Big Beautiful Bill. By cutting Medicaid funding, a lot of these hospitals have to shut down because they can't afford to stay open. But don't worry. Now the federal government gets to make its own informed decisions on which rural hospitals it thinks should be able to continue existing.
Is that in the counter proposal for the CR, not only does Chuck Schumer want to spend $1.5 trillion additional dollars and give almost $200 billion in health care back to illegal aliens, which is the funds of hardworking American taxpayers, he also, in the same proposal, go read it, it's on my website at speaker.gov, he wants...
By the way, what the Republicans are proposing here, which is in this funding bill right now that they are trying to get through, which would not renew like Medicaid credits towards certain hospital practices, including use of the emergency room. That's why they're making it about illegal immigrants. What they're saying is like, basically, if an undocumented person there's a whole bunch wrong with it, but the gist of it being like it is still a reduction of funds to hospitals by not giving them Medicaid kickbacks. This is also going to close more hospitals. Like it's getting even worse.
To claw back the $50 billion that Republicans signed into law July 4th to prop up rural hospitals. I can't explain it. You have to ask him about it. But that's a stunning development, and it's something obviously we cannot do.
Pat in New York, line for Democrats. Go ahead, Pat.
GOP congressman got yelled at over rural hospital funding live on air. We'll hear that in this one, then we'll move on.
Good morning. My question is to the Speaker of the House. This here government shutdown has caused a lot of people heartaches. The same way this big, beautiful bill, a lot of people heartaches. And then it will continue to cause people heartaches. So this big, beautiful bill would equal out to be the 2025 resolution or whatever it is they wanted to put into effect. I'm wondering how and what will this do to people? It has already caused a lot of harm. And then we've just, I guess, resolved Israel and Gaza with the war between them. What about the war that is being caused here in America when our president tells the military to shoot Americans, use the cities as war zones? We have to, before we throw stones at another country, we got to look at our own country, the chaos that we're in now. And Representative Johnson, I've heard you say that
These people are the flagstones of American democracy. They have a voter turnout rate of 100%. They can tell you who their mayor and local city council person is. They're the ones holding it up with their fragile arms.
President Trump wants to open the government back up. When your words are different from his, when he says this is his opportunity time to fire people, to close up different organizations and things that have been able to help people. Please explain that to me.
You gave me a lot to work with there, Ms. Pat, and I wish I had about 30 minutes. Let me do it real quick on each of those matters. Number one, with regard to the big, beautiful bill, I'm so sad that you've been told a lot of things that aren't true about that. When the polling goes out and they look at the individual pieces of that large piece of legislation, they're wildly popular with the American people. Most are 80-20 issues in favor.
They're not.
Because what we did is we reduced taxes for hardworking Americans. That bill was written for middle and lower class earners, and
taxes increased for the poorest people, decreased substantially for the wealthiest.
Everybody's going to feel the effect of that if you're in those categories.
That is true.
Very soon, before the election next year, and I think that they'll reward us for that. There's all sorts of provisions.
Oh my God, dude. Is he off his game right now? You're so transparent. They'll reward us for that? You're not supposed to you're supposed to pretend that you're not doing all of this as part of like a cynical political maneuvering thing. You're supposed to pretend that you're like righteously fighting for what's good for the American people. You're not supposed to do that.
Provisions in the bill that help in so many ways. We're propping up rural hospitals. We're getting back to American energy dominance, which is good for national security and the economy, and so many other pro-growth policies. Pause that there because there's lots to talk about in the days to come. What you talked about, President Trump's been accused of saying he wants to have a war on American citizens. I have no idea where that comes from. It's obviously a misleading talking point.
He has explicitly said that and more. He has said that the troops should open fire, cities as war zones, the real enemy is within, etc., etc.
What the president said is he wants to do in the big cities where we have major crime crises what we've done in D.C. They deployed National Guard troops here, and everyone is safe again. People can walk to and from. My young staffers can walk from their car to the building to work and not have their purses stolen and their cars jacked. It was a crisis in D.C., and the liberal Democrat mayor of D.C. has applauded the effort and said, thank you, President Trump, for the reinforcements, because they didn't have enough people in the metropolitan.
That was super cucked of her, by the way, how complicit she's been. She should have been pushing back a lot more, at least rhetorically.
Police to handle the crime crisis. It's handled now. The crime has dropped like 80% in most categories, and it's a
that is not true.
Great thing. So if we can do that in other cities, it helps citizens. Put the politicians aside. Do you want a crime crisis in your city or not? The president is allowing them to go in.
Yeah. The president did say in that speech to military leaders that he wanted to use cities as training grounds for the U.S. military.
Of course. National Guard troops, they drill once a month so they can be trained. Put them in the cities where it's a win-win-win.
An insane thing to have to pivot to and defend, by the way. Like, oh yeah, naturally, just have them use major metropolitan areas as military training grounds. That's a normal thing to do.
Talk to the National Guard troops in D.C. They're enjoying what they're doing. They're walking around smiling. Everybody's smiling here.
So what are they training for? Their jobs as fucking garbage men after the military service ends? What the fuck are we talking about here?
The sun is shining again. Greatest nation in the history of the world. The most beautiful capital city. It should be safe for visitors and tourists and school groups, and it is, and we're proud of that. Last thing, what was the last question? It was a good one, Ms. Pat.
It's okay. Let's go
to
all right, good. Colin in Bryan, Texas, Republican line. Go ahead.
He has a bad poker face, Mike Johnson. You can really tell when he's when he feels challenged by like a prompt that he's being given to make some bullshit up, because he smiles. He smiles every time. He does not smile unless he's doing this, and he always smiles when he does. When he's given an opportunity to lie. It's got to be wearing on him though, like knowing that no matter what he does, this is getting blamed mostly on Republicans. Last one we're looking at, then we're moving on.
Your Congressman Max in Silver Spring, Maryland, independent.
Hi, good morning. First of all, let me address one thing that you just said, sir.
Sure.
You're taking credit for $50 billion that you just gave to the hospital industry. That's after you took away $150 billion. You don't take credit for just giving back a little bit of money after taking away so much. So quit lying. It just makes you look horrible. The real reason why I called, though, was because you keep blaming the Democrats for the government shutdown. Now, you know what? They're in fault, but you're also in fault. You can also turn it around. You can turn
we did our job, Max. We voted for a clean continuing resolution.
Okay,
and
Congressman,
all they had to do was to keep it going.
Can I talk?
Okay, Max, hold on.
You're
Let's have
asking
you
multiple questions.
Hold on.
I'm going to answer your questions.
Okay, let Max finish this thought, then we'll go to you, Congressman. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, thank you. The Speaker of the House could turn things around, and you guys, the government would be working tomorrow if you guys chose to do so. But instead, you went on vacation. And no, you could. You have.
No, that's bull, Max. I'm not on vacation. Go to my social media pages, @Rep Mark Alford. I'm out each and every day. I talked to a veteran yesterday in our district who's not going to get the mental health care he needs because of the shutdown, Schumer shutdown in Washington, D.C. He has a traumatic brain injury. He is suffering from PTSD. Our caseworkers are in our offices every day, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, without pay, trying to help these people, but Chuck Schumer is standing in the way. And so, sir, I will not take that. I will not take the blame for this.
We'll go to Robert next.
I love seeing this shit, man. I love it so much. It's been a rough shutdown for them. I wonder if they're ever going to like actually attempt to negotiate. Like if Schumer keeps up the pressure for long enough, it's possible this might get drawn out. Just, you know, indefinitely. Record is 35 days. God, I wish. Well deserved, Masaigu. Well deserved. Okay. What is this shit? Judge ruling? Oh yeah, people keep saying Trump live, but you never say what the fuck Trump live is talking about live. Can somebody explain to me why do you do that? Why are there people in chat who are like, oh, Trump's live right now? He's live like every day. Like live doing what? Talking about what? People just say, oh, Trump's live. Must have been 20, 30 messages this chat. People saying, oh, Trump live. Okay, live with what?
And now it's, I would say within a month, it was beautiful. And it continues to be that.
Prescription drug discounts. All I can see is that there's a discount of 654% and a discount of 230% being advertised by the White House over here. So, yeah.
When the oil comes down, everything comes down. It's pretty beautiful to watch. AstraZeneca, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the United Kingdom, is committing to offer Americans major discounts on their vast catalog of prescription drugs, one of the great companies, by the way, and a most favored nation's pricing clause. So American taxpayers, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And I tell the story, Glenn, that in my first term, I had the honor of being the first president in 28 years to lower drug prices during the course of the year. And we
yeah, okay. So it's nothing then. It's just this Trump RX bullshit. It's not even worth talking about, really. If anything comes of it, something will come of it.
New this morning, the Trump administration is now appealing the ruling that blocked the president's National Guard deployment around Chicago, blocked it for 2 weeks. Another federal judge has blocked agents from using certain crowd control tactics near an ICE facility that's right outside of Chicago. That order came down.
This is huge, by the way. A ruling has come down not on the deployment of the National Guard, but on the behavior of ICE, which is pretty big.
After video surfaced, it was this video of a pastor being hit in the head with pepper balls while praying outside of the site.
Yeah, I meant to talk about this, but I forgot to the other day, or the last day that I streamed. He's a Presbyterian minister who was praying, wasn't around anyone, wasn't doing, like, there was nothing that he was doing that could be constituted as potentially threatening. And what was it? A sniper from the roof shot pepper balls at him and hit him in the forehead. And laughing could be heard from ICE afterwards. They're calling him a woke pastor. Yeah, of course they are. Dude, this is an open letter to Republicans, okay? I am begging you. Hat in hand, okay? Please keep doing this. Nothing makes you look better than being so obviously detestable. You're losing. They think it doesn't matter because they think they've already won. To a lot of these fucking retards, they think they've already taken the future, okay? Trump 1, Trump 2, we're deporting a couple thousand people a day. It's fucking over for them. We'll never have to worry about public opinion again. There's a reason they hide behind masks, okay? And they know there would be consequences. They know there will be consequences. Yeah, here's the video. If they keep acting this way, I mean, they're just hastening their own downfall. It's unlawful. They're not legally allowed to do that. It's against the instruction and use of the firearms that they're using. You're not supposed to fire those directly at people's faces. Not that it fucking matters, you know? I saw this. I saw this the other day. A federal agent points a weapon at a woman who is recording them. Just recording. This is how people are going to remember ICE. And the more they act this way, the more that's going to be the case. These people want to be the SS. These people want to be the Gestapo. They want to be clean, uniformed officers, agents of evil, who go door to door and silently, ruthlessly eliminate all opposition to their political agenda. You know, they want to run people into the death camps. What they are is fat, ugly, poorly trained morons. They are incompetent at every level, and they're also unlikable. And because of modern media, because everyone has a phone camera, we get to see this. They're not like the Gestapo. They're like the brown shirts, and the brown shirts were freaks, and their actions were mythologized after the fact by the German government, in large part because no one was around with phone cameras to take videos of them being belligerent freaks back then. The revolution will not be televised. It's on Twitter. That shit is true. 100%. Anyway, no, it's insane. And they keep doing it, and they're not stopping. And the more they do it, the better it is for us, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, the fact that they pulled all of these recruits from fascist paramilitaries and are marching them around the country making asses of themselves might be scary now, but there is going to be a reckoning the likes of which none of them are prepared for, and it's all being predicated on the fact that they're just unlikable. They could have gotten away with doing the deportations. The average American is a Hitlerite when it comes to law and order issues, but you cannot get away with driving around major metropolitan areas doing shit like this, shooting pastors in the head, you know, handcuffing naked children and marching them outside. You can't get away with it. The Pope is directly ordering U.S. bishops to fight for migrants right now, making it top priority for the Catholic Church in North America. Fucking based? Is somebody reaping the consequences of very publicly, randomly shooting Christian ministers in the forehead? Are we perhaps making enemies It is the Pope City, after all. That is true.
CNN's Whitney Wild is joining us now live near that ICE facility. And what is the latest here? What do we know about what this appeal means, what the judge's order means? What are you hearing?
Well, there are several outstanding questions here, Kate. And the question had been, after this ruling came down, whether or not the National Guard was going to maintain their presence here while this went through appeal. And what you see here, Kate, and I'll just kind of orient you toward the building here, we do not see a single member of the National Guard outside Broadview, although over the last few days that had been visible. Right now, again, we do not see a single member of the National Guard. New this morning, Kate, this fence here has been up since September 22nd. There had been a push by city officials to bring this down. They were concerned that it would impede an emergency response.
Yeah, by the way, ICE just put up a fence on the road. They can't do that. That's city property. It's not, ICE doesn't control that. The federal government can't just annex that. It's not how it works.
There's also concern about, the people who live here, the people who work here, these impositions that DHS has put on the people who have to live and work here every day. A judge just minutes ago ruling that this fence has to come down.
In my opinion, a huge step. I know it sounds relatively trivial, but it's one of the first big notable steps of judges ruling not just against National Guard deployments, which are like this big issue, but more in a more minute sense, like, no, ICE, you actually can't do that. You can't do whatever you want. And every time a judge rules, it gets more and more likely that ICE will openly defy the judge's orders. And the more likely that gets, the more it's going to happen. And the more it happens, the more the pressure is going to build. We already know the Chicago and Broadview police departments don't like ICE. There have been multiple interviews of their police commissioner, of random officers, seeing them get tear gassed. We know they don't appreciate the ICE facility here. Eventually, warrants for arrests are going to be issued. And I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see the cops at Broadview perp walk the ICE, mask off. Some Proud Boy fuck. I want to see them dragged into the fucking police car. Oh, I need it. I need it. I need it so bad. I want it. I want it more than you could possibly imagine. I didn't think it was possible, but conservatism has really set in. The Trump administration is making me love cops.
I'd have until 2 o'clock this afternoon, Central Time, to propose how that's actually going to happen. Back to this ruling on the National Guard. This is a major win for Illinois officials.
I know police via ICE is the fight of the century, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Remember how Hitlerite cops are? No, we know for a fact, like, the police, at least in these cities, do not like ICE broadly. Keep in mind that ICE is belligerent, untrained, uncooperative, rude, generally unlikable, has no community connections, in many cases isn't even from the state that they're being deployed to, and they're all pedophiles. Yes, thank you, Thana. Whereas only half of police are pedophiles. No, like the cops might be Hitlerite on their own, but there is a different character here. ICE is not just like cop but federal. These people are actual Hitlerites, okay? These people are like firing at a minister and laughing as he falls to the ground after shooting him in the head for nothing. There is a difference, you know? Yeah, and the police do interpret it as, or they perceive it as ICE like marching in on their turf, yeah.
Here's more from Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
I'd like to thank the heroes behind me who have stood up not just for the citizens of the city of Chicago, citizens of the city of Broadview, citizens of the state of Illinois, but I might add that this is an important decision. Not
Mike Johnson taking notes on how to appear convincingly emotional. Jesus Christ. So he's just happy about the lawsuit that's been brought and the judge's ruling
for the state of Illinois, but for the entire country.
He's crying for an amazing reason.
Kate, right now we will have to see what happens with the appeal, what the timeline for that looks like. I want to point out what the judge said during this hearing yesterday as she was questioning quite aggressively the Department of Justice. And what she said was that she felt like the chemical agents that were deployed against protesters and members.
Why is he crying? Well, I'm just going to take a guess, but like, keep in mind, ICE is super unpopular. I'm going to guess that guy's probably not favorable towards ICE, and he's seen his city slowly encroached by this militant occupying force of Hitlerite federal agents, and this is like the first big legal step that's been taken against them in their power. Maybe he's a sentimental guy. It's probably been like a hard road, especially considering the fact that I guarantee you this is the case. Any high-profile litigation being directed against ICE is getting met with some very, like, behind-the-scenes threats. There is no fucking way that guy has not had conversations with the Department of Homeland Security sometime in the past 2 weeks.
Of the press were indiscriminate. They appeared arbitrary. And then finally, she said, there is just nothing to prove that there is actually a rebellion inside the United States. These were, basically the core reasons that she decided that the National Guard would fall under this temporary restraining order. And she was issuing, again, this partial ruling that gives a major win to Illinois leaders here, Kate.
And also, Whitney, quite something to see the Attorney General there becoming overcome with emotion as they were talking about this. And
yeah, no kidding. Not just that either. Illinois judge blocks federal authorities from using force against Chicago journalists. It's really ramping up. I'm telling you, man, the more ICE oversteps, the more easy they make it for local courts to smack down on them. And the more the courts do that, the more difficult it's going to be for ICE to act without flipping those rules. And if they do, eventually they are going to get arrested. I do not think that point is close. I think because like the moment ICE agents start getting arrested for behavior they engage in on the job, that will direct the attention of the entire Republican Party, the president, everyone, at not just that city, but also the individual police officer who brings them in. So, like, it's going to take cops with some unbelievably serious fucking cojones to attempt this, even. We're talking death threats, arson. I mean, like, it's going to be brutal. And they're all aware of that. Can a cop arrest a Fed? Yes, absolutely. What if ICE responds with lethal force? Like shooting the cops who come to arrest them? Then that would like actually lead to the local police would not allow that to happen. The ICE is a bunch of like federal belligerents. Local police outnumber them massively. That would be the end of ICE there. It would be like a gang war that would end in the police's victory. But I don't think that would happen. That would be insane. There are far, far, far more police in Chicago than there are federal agents. ICE just kidnapped a Chicago local news producer. Well, that's cool. WGN news editor / producer Debbie Brockman grabbed by Trump's ICE goons, who then intentionally ram a bystander's car as they peel away. Fucking what?
We are at Lincoln and Foster. We are at Lincoln and Foster, and they just took this woman off the street. I am recording it. What is your name? What is your name? WGN. Debbie Proctor. You know your rights, Kate. Stay silent.
What's your name?
Debbie Brockman. I work for WGN. Let them know.
I got you. Yep.
They'll find out.
Debbie Browning?
Brockman.
Brockman, WGN. Do you guys want to share your names too, or I'm just going to cover your face?
Good job. Get the fuck out. Fuck you. Get out of our
Hopefully your wife and children make it home.
Just really endearing themselves to the local population, you know? As we learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, the agreeability of the local population is really, really essential for long-term occupations. But these guys got it down. They got it. Why do they have the police on their vest? They're not police. Because they're border police. They can put it on their vest. They can do it. They wear scrap equipment. ICE said she threw objects at them. No, no, no. Just keep it up. Just keep it up. Just keep it up. She's already been released and was not charged with anything, apparently, according to Twitter. People on Twitter would never lie. Yeah. Excuse me. How much does all this cost? Quite a bit. The police department needs to move like as a unit. No single cop is going to be brave enough to conduct an arrest against an ICE agent. It would be insane. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be one. It'd be like a team of them. It'd be like 3 or 4 at minimum. But yeah, they need to operate as a block and then prepare for like a siege. Back the blue? I'm back in the blue. I mean, maybe some won't understand the ramifications. You just need to find the most stupid, not politically aware cops there are and be like, hey, these are some masked gang members operating over here at this intersection. You need to go over and arrest them. And they're like, okay. And they just have no idea what they're in for. That would be pretty fucking funny. So Philly cops. All right, but Zug Zug. Okay. Back to work. Sam Cedar encourages more protesters wear ridiculous costumes like the frog and chicken dudes. I agree. It makes a complete mockery of the narrative. I completely agree. I think sometimes lefties get really in their head about how like revolution has to be, it has to look like the one painting of the French Revolution or like Soviets, you know, everyone looks serious and you can see starvation in their cheek lines and stuff. And it's like, no, it hasn't been like that in a long time, you know? It really does make ICE look unserious to see videos of them backing up when there's like a big frog man walking towards them. Yeah, I agree. If anything, you don't want to look serious, okay? It's not like we're on the precipice of leftism overtaking fascism or whatever. What we're really talking about is prompting liberal institutions in this country to reject fascism. And what that means is that you do have to play the optics game. In this case, it should be easy because ICE agents are the worst people on earth. They are the worst human beings alive. So, looking better than them is pretty damn easy. All I'm talking about is amplifying the perceived contrast, you know? To be fair, a lot of that is looking at history with rosy lenses. 100%. I guarantee you, I guarantee you that like in the French and American revolutions and stuff like that, there were people present with goofy signs and like ladies with their tits out and stuff. I'm sure it took place in a different way, like the vibe was different, but I guarantee you that in the context of the era, there were people there where people were like rolling their eyes going like, come on, what are you doing? Yeah, the Boston Tea Party. I'm sure the French Revolution was silly all around. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, we have... Oh, shit, it's 3:44. Well, I started stream really late. Am I able to go longer? There's more stuff I want to talk about. Fuck. Sorry, I have had, like, no discipline lately when it comes to my sleep schedule. Yeah, what's that about? So it's literally just, I had one day where it was justified and one day where it wasn't. I'm getting one of those. I'm ordering it. I'm getting a sunrise alarm clock. I'm getting one of those alarm clocks where like at 7 a.m. or whatever, it gets a little brighter and it goes like, and then it gets like a little louder and brighter over half an hour. And then at 7:30, it's like, you know, and then at that's your time to like get the fuck up, basically, you know? It sounds nice. Yeah, good ones sound nice. There are 2 key steps to having a healthy sleep schedule. Only 2. You only need the 2, okay? A regular wake-up time and make sure to get daily exercise. Even if it's just going on a walk. Just do something physical every day. That's it. That's it. That's all you need. Eventually, if you can just keep that wake-up time, your sleep time will fall in line so that you don't feel awful waking up at that time. That's it. You don't need to set a sleep time because your body will set the sleep time. You know what I mean? And the exercise is to make sure you're tired enough when you actually get to bed. Let me know if the light works because I'm also thinking about getting one. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have to place the alarm out of reach, so you have to get out of bed to turn off the alarm. And you have to set a rule for yourself that once you've done that, you can't get back in bed. Very true. You say this, and yet you're also saying your sleep is screwy? Yeah, because I don't follow my own advice. If I did follow my own advice, I'd be unstoppable. And frankly, you should be happy that I haven't been following my own advice, because if I was, you would look like shit compared to me. I hope your like mom or girlfriend or whatever isn't watching this, because listen, okay? Sometimes I have to dial it down a little bit because I don't want to cause problems in your personal lives. All right? I don't want your loved ones to walk by, they see the screen and they're like, ooh, I didn't know a fella could have a sleep schedule that robust and healthy. So I keep it down a little bit, you know? Yeah, I pace myself so you can keep up. Thank you, thank you. You know it. You know it. And I do it because I love you. Now subscribe. Thank you. I have time for one more, but I'm going to have to delay reading the donations. No, I'm going to read the donations and then do the rest of the segments tomorrow. I'm going to do that. I'm rearranging my priorities. Thank you. Yeah. Always the motherfuckers with the donos who be saying thank you when I say shit like that. Okay. Mary France, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Polytune, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Really appreciate you paying it forward. Thank you. Elenita Express, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Really appreciate that. And Maxter, thank you for the $5. Hey there, brah. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. Thanks for keeping me sane during work, bestie. My pleasure. Hope you're doing well. And Mean Former, thank you for the $5. Here's where my dog stays while I'm working from home. Excellent. Also, doxed. Comfy dog. We got a plushie duvet recently, and the cats have been loving it. No spaces or speculators. No SPACSORSPECLCH8TRS. With the tier 1 sub, thank you. Yeah. Kalik Worm, thank you for the $5. Beatdown Saturn, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Finally getting some NRCA work after Trump's federal funding cuts, so I wanted to share some of my bread. Keep your bread, my friend. We have no idea how long these cuts are going to persist, you know? Sake and the Burial Plague, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. Sassy Orange, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Hi, I'm new. I found your channel and community earlier this year. I want to support. Thank you, Sassy Orange. That's incredibly kind of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Nothing makes me feel better than, you know, I mean, obviously donations are always appreciated, but underlying that is a genuine appreciation for the sentiment and the knowledge that it's a robust community, you know? Thank you. No fuck, it's the same person with the same name. No Spaxor Speckle Shaders. Thank you for the... I'm going to call you No Spac from now on if you continue donating. Thank you for the $5. Missed you yesterday. Hope you're doing better today. Still haven't started Silksong. Got a sudden urge to play Fallout New Vegas during the last Steam sale. Fuck yeah, good game. As good as Silksong, though. I prefer Silksong, but I tend to like games that have a much tighter experience, you know? Ink Daedalus, thank you for the tier 1 sub. No wonder. Thank you for the tier 2 sub. We missed you tremendously. Horizon, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Your Trump voice is excellent, sir. Here's a tier 1 subscription. Your Trump voice is excellent, sir. Here are some tier 1 subs. My pleasure. Waza, thank you for the tier 4 sub. Your Trump voice is excellent. Now please do the rest of the stream with it. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I will. I'll do the next stream all in Trump voice. He said lying. Can I do that? Can I do the Homer voice in Hades 2? He said lying. I don't know how to do that. He's got such a gravelly voice. It's too low, right? So said the streamer as he lied. Like, you know what he's the voice talent in that game is too good. There's just not really, you can't really replicate it. Eesh. Finnish Theologian, thanks the tier 1 sub. Just wanted to thank you for the gaming content this year. Hey, listen, I'm really looking forward. I think the next one that I'm going to do is probably going to be, and this is going to be a real filter for some of you people, Deltarune. Yeah, because, you know, it's a little, all the serious gamers, they come in for the Silksong. Well, I haven't played chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune. So, you know, you're going to have to deal with it, okay? And I don't remember what happened to 1 and 2, so I'm going to have to replay that. And then after that, I'm still on the fence about Expedition 33. What happened to the Metal Gear Solid streams? Those are in the future. Dream de Lamine, thanks the tier 1 sub, much appreciated. Brutus, thank you for the $5. Never pay the army, they are bitches. True. Cap of all time, thank you for the $5. Hanging out with a girl tomorrow that I met in choir. Apparently we both play Civ. Just wanted to share this little victory that I had. Never KMS. KYS. Never KYS. There's always something out there. Ward Pipe, thank you for the very kind $15. Dad, hey son, what you watching? Vosh, if I drink cold Gatorade, my blood will boil and I'll die. Dad, dinner's ready. I didn't say that. Leafar, thanks to $5. Just found out JD Vance has a stake in a company that buys foreclosing farms to resell. You could show this to every farmer in America. They would still vote for Trump next chance they got. Just call me Addy. Thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Watch the latest Some More News and learn that Trump dropped to 1488. Looked it up and saw he also said 11088 and 11188. Feels like this is a big deal. Nah, it's his speechwriters. His speechwriters put Nazi propaganda in because they all giggle over it. You know how the left in America isn't interested in victory, but instead loves like symbolic gestures at victory? That's how a lot of the right is too, especially the radical right, like the neo-Nazis. You know? So they get him to say 1488 and they all go, ooh! They get like that, you know, they get really excited because they got their epic Nazi dog whistle in, but it doesn't really like do anything. And it's certainly not Trump. Trump would never, what, Trump dog whistling? Can you imagine? How the fuck does Trump dog whistle? He can't dog whistle. Completely incapable. But yeah, no, his speechwriters are for sure doing that. AK 4'7". Thank you for the incredibly kind $50 donation. I really appreciate that. Just graduated my course with an A in Russian, or an AA in Russian. Sorry, I thought you were going like oorah. AA in Russian, oorah Marine Corps. Oorah! Ooh. Well, if this Russian-Ukraine war keeps up long enough that we deploy troops to it, then you'll get the chance. Get on over there. Sake, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. And here I thought the biggest conflict in Chicago's future would be the coming pizza-style civil war. I've never had Chicago-style pizza. I'm not a huge fan of pizza in general. So my problem is, I am lactose intolerant, so I just can't eat a lot of cheese. And also, it's really oily and high cal. But I like pizza fine. It's fine. However, I have had very high quality pizza, you know, like really good stuff, and that's great. So for me, it's not so much like the style, it's more I need it to be light. My favorite pizzas tend to have like a pesto sauce rather than marinara or barbecue or whatever else, you know. I like it to be light and grassy. Yeah, like a pesto, garlic, you know, very very light sausage on top and like a very thin slice, and that's great for me personally. Flylighter with a very kind 5 tier 1 subs. I won't stand for the Dennis name being so heinously tarnished by one bad actor. Nah, Dennis is cool. We go back, you know. It's an ongoing bit. It's all good. It's all good. Kowalski, thank you for the $5. When it swings back in 4 years, can I have like 50 ICE agents to work my fields? Yeah, 100%. We can arrest all of them and they'll be kind of like a penal squad that can be leased out in a, you know, it's not slavery. I just want to answer anyone's questions, like anyone who's thinking that it wouldn't be slavery. But they would, yeah, they would have no say in the matter, and they would like till your fields and stuff. Now follow me with the $5. Hey Ian, I just ordered some straight fit raw selvage denim jeans. Thanks for putting me onto them. Why nobody who says this, why do you never say the brand? I probably know the name of the company that you bought them from. You should tell me. Don't listen to the fashion segment haters, they're just gay. That is also true. I've always known this in my heart. I appreciate you confirming it for me. But no, what's the brand? I want to know the brand. What's this crap about a Qatari airbase in Iowa? It'll have to wait till tomorrow. I'm sorry to say. Self-Edge? Self-Edge is a distributor. They're not actually a brand of raw selvage denim, though of course you can buy many brands of raw selvage denim from them. Crow, not Confucia Cornus, thank you for the 249 euros. Saft911, thank you for the $2. And the Mighty Tack, thank you for the $5. Thank you for half a coffee. I really appreciate that. NRTBH and New, thank you for the $5 both. Why are all the Hassan drama donations coming from YouTube chat? You know? None of them were in the site chat. It's all YouTube chat. Are you Hassan fans too good to join my personal website and give me money and dedicate your life to me? Okay, all right, fine. Daniel Green, thank you for the $2 donos. Harlan's rare. I'm just not engaging with the drama stuff because then you bring it up. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, you bring it up. This is why I stopped engaging with Destiny publicly. It's not actually like ideological disagreements, or at least that's not the fundamental. It's the dynamic of you wake up, X said Y about Z. Oh, better address this. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, well, they say that your prior assessment of the thing that they said is inaccurate, so now you need to go and look at the, and then like invariably every single thing turns into like an 8-hour dive. It's like a whirlpool. It's a maelstrom, you know? Dawson Wall, thank you for the $1. The Mighty Tack, thank you for the $2. Wazdrux123, Ellerum Basdo, and No, thank you for the $5 all. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. It's difficult to say anything to these, you know. Manuela, Eloram Basto, and Westrox123. Thank you for the $2. A split keyboard for shoulders. I helped. My neck feels good right now. I just had to rearrange my entire desk. It looks a lot better now. And it feels better to sit at. I feel good. It feels good in here. It feels fucking, and right now, I think that this looks better, like, camera angle wise. You know what I mean? Because the camera's almost coming straight at me. So now instead of me being like, hold on, what would I be like? Tilted, like this. I'm doing like the Trump lean, you know? I'm doing like the Trump lean, like this. Now I can just stand up straight. Wandering Robot Studio, thank you for the very kind $10. Still alive, thank you for the 5. Benjamin Gilbert Liff, who donated yesterday $500, says, "Hey leftist, catch." Thank you. Much appreciated. Yummy. Me with the suspiciously $500 bulge-shaped bullshit walking out. Thank you, Benjamin, you lunatic. Adlet Astria, Andrew Alt, High Shelf, and High Shelf again. Thank you for the $5 all. I really, really appreciate that. Is he going to talk about the gay frogs? I talk about gay frogs every day. Taijirai, thank you for the $10. Love the irony that not only is Trump not getting his coveted award, but his actions are the ones contributing to the actual recipient's cause. Yeah, and he was still upset about it. I don't even think he acknowledged it. He just, like, retweeted it or whatever. Saya Productions, thank you for the 2 USD. TI, thank you for the 20 Swedish kroner. Alexander Stanford, thank you for the 50 Egyptian pounds. Yeah, we'll see how the market recovers from this new wave of maybe tariffs. Andrew Alt, thanks for the 5. You have a good day as well. Pale Magpie, thank you for the 10 pounds. Who knew Fallout got it right that World War III was going to end up between China and the US? Honestly, right now my bet is on World War III being between the countries most affected by climate change and the ones that aren't. You know? And it's not going to be a conventional war. It's going to be a mass human migration that, by popular demand, gets backed up with, like, force. Gonna be rough. Gonna be rough. Alpha Centauri, thank you for the $3. Martin Gingrich, thank you for the $2. Still alive, thank you for the $10. And Steve Go Shoot, thank you for the $5. Yeah, I didn't expect Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize, but honestly, the actual recipient was only marginally better. And Neo Miker, thank you for the $5. Just a reminder that ICE is not getting paid during the shutdown. I actually don't know if that's true. I think a significant contingent of ICE is getting paid because they're considered emergency staff. Am I wrong on that? Are ICE getting paid during shutdown? Yeah, they're designated as essential employees and required to continue working. But they don't get paid until the shutdown is over. Is that true? I thought they had been given exceptions. National Guard isn't getting paid? Well, whatever it is, it all benefits us anyway. All right, folks. I love you all. Oh, man, I got to stretch more often. I love you all very, very much. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. I'll be here tomorrow. I promise that I would never lie to you. Oh, Sake, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Saw a pretty great comment yesterday. I used to struggle with homosexuality, but then I worked at it and it got way better. That's unironically the experience of everyone who's ever gone to a conversion therapy camp and then, like, survived it, you know? Once you accept it, it's all fine. Has Vosh made or intends to make a segment on the Hassan thing? Jesus Christ, you people. Absolutely not. Also, like, as is always the case, the drama contribution on my part was me seeing the video and saying, like, oh, it looks pretty bad. And then, like, everyone else goading me. But now I looked online. I saw people talking about it. Oh, my God. Now people are talking. It's all time cube shit, you know? Now people are like, I have taken a screenshot of the stream and color edited it to show that the model of the item is not the model that he says it. It's like, there's no way I can engage in this. I'm not doing that. What the fuck? Just thought the video looked bad. I even said yesterday, like, there could be context provided that makes this way worse or way better. I don't know. But people, you know, I understand people, like, always wanting me to, you know, engage for entertainment. It's just like, that's a particularly crazy one, I think. That's a wacky one. Probably doesn't matter that much. All right. Take care. Be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.